Okay, good evening and welcome to the 2012 Ultranet Networks GPVWC Brazilian Grand Prix. This is the Formula Challenge event held live at the Curitiba GP circuit, obviously in Brazil. I'm Lee Morris, and tonight alongside me I have James Shepherd once again, so thank you to James for joining me.
Good evening, Lee.
Yeah, the first qualifying lap times have just come in. We've just had a practice session where Georgios Manusakis, now tonight I'm going to pronounce his name correctly, because that's never happened before. And he was fastest in the practice session. I believe it was a 17.1 he was on, which has already been beaten by David Gaspers. The two Logix EV Racing team guys already up there, first and second. They were very quick in the previous race as well, I seem to recall. And they're showing their strength again today. You're currently watching the two Logix guys as they actually dip into the 16s now. David Gaspers does a 16.8. In the slipstream and working very well together. Benjamin Zirk, his teammate, who's just in front of him, they're using the slipstream of each other to do the lap times, which is really clever tactics from the two Logix EV Racing team guys. And the slipstream is quite effective around here as well. Marek Skronowski has just gone across the line in third position actually. That's a big improvement from what he was doing in practice. I've just been practicing with Marek and he was struggling to get into the 17s at all, and he's just popped across the line on a 17.4. I'm not sure if he had any help in the slipstream there as such, but that's a very quick lap time for Marek. Obviously we'll take you down the full order once the times are fully updated. At the moment the first laps are just coming in. Tonight we have two races. We have the official feature event and the official sprint race event. The sprint is 15 laps and the feature race, which is first up, is 30 laps, which begins around 8 o'clock after this qualifying session, of which we have 15 minutes exactly remaining. James, not quite sure obviously if you've driven too many laps. I know you said you'd done a few earlier last week I believe. Any ideas on this circuit? Obviously I've driven it myself as well, so I guess we've got a fairly good idea of where the tricky points are.
Well, there's a section around the back of the track where it's about a third gear corner. It's a very long corner, double apex almost, and then a long wide exit. You can scrub a lot of time there. And then the last two corners again, they're a very long wide corner, and you can back off too much, or if your setup's not quite right, you can get it wrong. But other than that, there's not too many slow corners on the track, so it's just maintaining a lot of constant pace, a lot of speed. So it may be difficult for guys to overtake here and just be waiting for somebody to make a mistake.
Indeed, I'm not quite familiar with this track myself. I've never driven it before this week. Obviously this event hosting this circuit. Just done a bit of research on the circuit. Not a very popular track in the world of motorsports. A couple of motorsport events in the Touring Car Championship, bit of Stock Car, which is the Brazilian Stock Car Championship, Formula Truck and Formula 3. So not too widely used. In fact, the last time it looks like it was used in anything major was 2000? No, 2006. Was hosted to the A1 GP, but the circuit was removed, so I believe that was the last time it was used.
It's a shame.
Or wasn't actually used, sorry, because the A1 GP cancelled it for some reason, so it's not one of the most popular circuits on the calendar, but it's certainly exciting to drive, that's for sure.
I think that may be in the year that A1 GP pulled out, wasn't it? They had all their cars impounded in London by Ferrari, or was that a few years later?
I'm not quite sure. I wasn't a big fan of the A1 GP series, to be fair. I watched a couple of races, but it didn't really take off, did it either? So hopefully this isn't an omen as to the fact we're coming here in the Formula Challenge series that this isn't going to take off. But so far we have a packed out grid once again of 25 drivers. I would expect a few more to turn up as well. Looks like some are having issues, but once again 25 drivers in this league, showing that it's as popular as ever. We are currently watching Robin van Brenk, who is currently in 4th position for the now renamed UK SOM team, or UKSOM if you would like to say it all in one word. Obviously last race we was pronouncing them as, I think it was Pinnacle we was trying to pronounce them as last race. Or was it
Arctic?
Was it Arctic? Yes, it was Arctic, wasn't it? The Pinnacle is the old constant team, isn't it? That's correct. So far no messages tonight of any penalties. I'm going to take a quick look on the forums to make sure there's no penalties from this race. I believe we did have a few. I don't think it was anything significant, unless you know. I think you did the actual penalties for this race as well, James. So
yeah, just a few warnings. The last race was very clean. We couldn't pick anything. You would have remembered that there was a big incident in race 2 at the first corner, triggered by 2 of the guys. But it was a racing incident. They just made a mistake. People make mistakes sometimes. We can't penalise everyone for that sort of thing. But this race we should be clean, no grid penalties or anything. So the guys are setting their qualifying times, and whatever they set, that's where they're going to start.
Indeed, yeah. Just looking down the penalty list now, obviously, like you say, a couple of warnings. Wesley Morris was warned because of not letting the leaders pass safely. Alex Rolls, John McLean, and Riku Sapila also received warnings for causing avoidable incidents. And misdemeanors on the formation lap, but nothing too serious, which is like what we like to see. Actually, that's really good. The drivers really seem to have upped their, let's say, game since the new rules and regulations were introduced into GPVWC about a month and a half ago. And the drivers really seem to have raised their game to the actual new level of quality the admins want to see from the drivers. And so far we're getting some very clean racing from the drivers, which is great to see. Just look at the UK SOM cars now. They're both in the pit lane just coming out as you see them. Robin van Brenk followed by his teammate Aaron Maspero. They had a great race last time out for their first event, and that is a very nice livery as well.
Yeah, very reminiscent of the official BMW motorsports car. What were they? The BMW, Formula BMW cars. I think they've maybe even just taken it and just changed the colours by the looks of it, but nonetheless, whatever they've done, it's very effective.
We'll look at some cars that are actually on lap times. Currently we'll run down the order for you as well. We have 25 drivers still in the server, so that brings us 12 each, James. So I'll run down the top 12 and then we'll take it from there. So it's David Gaspers who's currently fastest. He's content to sit in the garage at the moment. And why not when he's got a half a second gap to his teammate? He's looking very comfortable up front at the moment. Only done 2 hot laps by the looks of it. Yeah, 2 hot laps. And his first one would have still been pole position by 2 or 3 tenths. So looking very quick there. So David Gaspers leads well on 16.8. Jimmy Zerke's teammate rounding out the front row for Logic's EV Racing on a 17.3. Then you have Marek Skanowski, who are currently watching in third position, just starting another hot lap. Been slightly held up there in turn 1 by a car running wide. So we'll switch to Zerk, who's just behind him there in the background, you see. We have Robin van Brenk in 4th position for your Uxom. Georgios Manusakis. As I was saying earlier actually about his name, he actually sent me a voice clip during the week showing me how to pronounce his name properly, so thank you to Georgios for that, and hopefully today you'll have no complaints. There's no excuses anymore. Jim Paris is his 6th position, actually behind his Total Motorsports teammates. We're not used to seeing that. It's usually Jim who's further up. Aaron Maspero is 7th position in the other Uxom car. Janne Varnanen for Tiger Express doing a great job in 8th position. Adrian McNaughton up inside the top 10 as well, along with Lee Massey 10th. I have a Bass just outside, and Jeff Mead in 12th position on a 118.1.
13th, Nick Phillips for Pinnacle. He's done an 18.1 as well. 14th, Pavel Ovnosky for Innovision. I think he owns that team, doesn't he? And then the other Pinnacle cars in 15th, Craig Johnson, who raced last week. 16th, Keith Story for United Racing Motorsports. Chris Gray sits in 17th for Red 5 Racing. 2 Velocity cars run side by side, 18th and 19th at the moment, sitting 18.9 and 19th respectively. Wesley Morris is down 20th at the moment. We've seen a bit faster lap times from him. He's done 19.0. David Junt, 21st. I haven't seen him race in the Formula Challenge for a while, but he's making a bit of a comeback here. He's in 21st for Tiger Express. 22nd, Dale Stones for Waterblue Racing. 23rd is Nigel McNamara for Wicked Fox Racing. 24th, Timu Toika for FA Racing. And 25th is Chris Williamson for Nisho.
Indeed, we're currently seeing, as you just saw on board there, we were on board with Maspero, who was giving his teammate Van Brenk a big tow into turn 1. So the 2 Uxom cars also using the same tactics as the Logic's EV team did as well. And we'll get back to Maspero, obviously. He's the one... we'll get back to Van Brenk in 4th position. He's the one on the hot lap now. Let's see if that improves his sector 1 significantly. He did have a bit of traffic into the turn 1, turn 2 complex, but he had a big tow down the main straight, and it can gain you anything up to 5 or 6 miles an hour as he comes through the sector 1 beam now. He's only 3/10 off, which isn't massive, but it looks like an improvement on what he had before. So yeah, it will be an improvement slightly on what he had before, I believe, but he did have a bit of traffic, so maybe not improve on this run, but it just shows what you can do. As Jim Paris improves to 4th position, and we'll go on board with Jim actually, who's just starting the hot lap now as he comes into turn 1. Fast right-hander, 4th gear on the setup I was using, and then down to 3rd for this next right-hander, using all the curb on the inside, on the throttle nice now, using the curb on the runoff. All about setting the track up for the exits on these corners, not necessarily carrying the mid-corner speed. It's all about the exits, because there's some long straights. Again, 3rd gear on my setup on this one. It was, some drivers may prefer to use 4th or even another gear, and hard on the throttle, using all the curb on the exit as Jim does. Flat through this right-hander now. He's 3/10 off in sector 1, as you can see. Then braking hard. You've got to brake early for this one. Brake in the middle of the track just like Jim does. Don't take it too tight or too wide. Middle of the track's just fine because it's slightly off camber. Jim using a lot of curb on the exit, but you can get away with that. That's absolutely fine. Then up to 5th. Now we leave it in 5th for this next left-hander, hugging the inside curb as Jim does perfectly. Now you flick it left really early into this one before the apex seems to hit you, up to 6th gear, and that enables you to take it flat. Unfortunately, he's lost another 2/10 and he's deciding to scrap this lap. But the final corner is very fast, 4th gear, barely any braking or throttle lifting, and you just basically coast it through the corner, back on the throttle nice and early. And that's the lap of this circuit, the Curitiba GP circuit. Very difficult track to get right, but very rewarding when you do.
It's interesting, you guys are finding different lines to me. I was finding that corner that you were saying to brake in the middle. You're saying don't take too high or too low, and I was taking it really high and launching it over the apex and just understeering through the entire corner with the power down. So perhaps there are different methods that these guys can use to overtake. And we may see different lines used to overtake in this track.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we just found this week that the outside of the track, as Robin van Brenk, we just watched come across the line, improves to 3rd position. So he's definitely the lap he used to his teammates' slipstream didn't really improve, but his second lap did, and he's not far off 2nd position actually. But Gaspers has just stayed in the pits for this entire session. But yes, the lines for this track, it's not a one-line circuit, that's for sure. It's what your setup's capable of. But we found through that left-hander this week, or me personally, taking the wide line because the track seems to go slightly off camber. And it seemed to make it run a slightly wide. Obviously, like you say, you didn't do that many laps. So I'm sure you didn't find your optimum lap time or anything like that. We all know how fast you are at the moment, James. Watching Van Brent come through it now. Let's see what line he takes into it. Again, middle of the track, slightly wider than Parisis, but not too wide. I think it's because it's slightly off camera on the outside of the corner, and he's run wide as we see a car in the background running very wide and spinning round. Not quite sure that was. Looks like Miles Dixon, was it? Yes, it was Miles Dixon for the Velocity Racing team, currently down in 20th position. As you just mentioned a minute ago, Wesley Morris down in 21st on a 19.0. He did an 18.1 in the practice session, which will put him on the fringes of the top 10. And also Keith Story as well. He's well down at the moment in 16th position, but he's coming across the line now. Doesn't improve on that run, but he did a 17.8 or 17.7 in practice, which will currently put him up inside the top 10 comfortably. If he can repeat that, he would jump right up as well. Manu Sarkis has gone second position actually for Torrent Motorsports. He's split the two Logix EV Racing teams, and he's now up into second position on the 17.2, still 4 tenths off Gaspers, who's actually come back out on the track now. Another collision in turn 1. A lot of cars in the background spinning around actually, they're really struggling. Someone's gone wide into turn 1 there, so it's a very difficult track to get right, this. Keith's obviously been blocked on this lap because we're watching him now and he's coming through sector 1, currently 8 seconds, well only 6 seconds off his fastest first sector. Pole position seems pretty sewn up though. Gaspers looks like he's got it. I don't see anyone beating a 16.8 in this session. Manu Sarkis looking really quick in second position actually. That's the best we've seen from him this season so far. He's usually in the top 6 but not that high up, and especially in front of Jim Parisis, his teammate, who's don't forget leading this championship quite comfortably as well.
Those guys that you saw spinning in the background there, that could actually be a contention for pole position. We had Wesley Morris spun, but then Jim Parisis spun behind him, and Benjamin Zerk collected him on the exit as he was sitting stranded in the middle of the track. So there's 2 guys with potential damage that might not be able to get another lap in here.
A good spot, James. That's a very good spot indeed. That could have just solidified the second and third position, because Zerk, as you say, yeah, he's coming across the line now. Go switch to him in third position. He does come across the line. It was only a 19.4, as you say. Lost a lot of time in sector 1. It's quite hard to damage these cars, to be fair to some of the drivers as well. They are very robust cars, but nonetheless, slightest bit of damage could cost you a couple of miles per hour, which is quite a lot of tenths of a second around this circuit, as he runs very wide on the exit of turn 3. Just looking at the championship standings now, actually, Jim Parisis, as we know, leads this by a long way. Gaxella looks like he's not turning up tonight once again for the Storm Racing team, so that's pretty much championship over, as we said last week. 2 weeks ago. Jim Parisis pretty much got this championship sewn up anyway, so all he needs to do is turn up, finish in the points every race, and he should be fine. Because the next closest person who's closest to him in the championship is 131 points behind him. That's Adrian McNaughton, who unfortunately for Adrian is down in 8th position. I don't see him improving too much on that, or challenging Jim Parisis for that championship lead. We've not too many rounds remaining. We only have about 5 or 6 races left now in this series. Yeah, got about 7 or 8 actually, but it's still not going to be enough. So I think Jim's pretty much got this one sewn up now, as his nearest competitors have all moved on actually to new pastures. And you see Zerk getting a teammate off Gaspers. Gaspers trying to help his teammate Zerk onto the front row of the grid. They need to give him a tremendous slipstream down the main straight. And he did actually improve on that lap as well, Zerk. He improved by, well, a half a tenth, let's say. Not enough to move him up in front of Manasakis, sorry. They did it already. As we watch Zerk go onto the back straight. But he received a significant slipstream down the main straight a second ago, did Benjamin Zerk. And this could really help him on this lap.
I think he lost a bit of time braking too late into turn 1, because Gaspers is all over him and he's possibly even backed off now.
Yeah, he's 3 tenths off in sector 1, so it would make sense.
They have enough time to get around and do another lap though, so we may see Gaspers jump in front of him again to give him the tow onto the main straight.
Well, he's right on the back of him at the moment, as you say, so we're possibly going to set that up in a second. Maybe we'll just take a look at the middle sector time, because even though he's only 3 tenths off, don't forget that would still put him into second position. He's now 4 tenths off, so he probably would be better taking your advice and easing off, letting Gaspers through, but it's far too late now because they're into the apex of the final corner. So Zerk's got one last chance to improve on his position. Quite a few drivers coming through the final sector.
They could always try to double slipstream each other if Gaspers can get ahead soon enough, but it doesn't look like he's been able to. They could have double launched themselves, but they've got across the line just in time, so they've both got another chance at another lap if they want it. Yeah, Zerk's getting too heavy on the brakes into that turn. You see Gasper's wiggling all over the track, trying not to hit the back of him.
We're on board with Gasper's now, watching down this back straight. Gasper's safely on the pole position, no one's going to challenge that time. See what Zerk's sector 1 is. Gasper's desperately trying to force his teammates, trying to push him. Once again he's 3/10 down in sector 1 though. If he could hold that through the middle sector and the final sector, he would jump up into second position, but he just doesn't seem to have the pace for this middle sector.
Looks like these guys are using different setups too, because Gasper's closes in on the back of Zerk a lot faster than we see in other cars, so it's quite possible that he's running a very different setup to his teammate.
He's held the middle sector too. He's actually improved through the middle sector on his previous best. If he could hold this current gap to the first position lap time, if he gets a good run off this final corner now, he will move up to the second position time. He's got about half a tenth to play with here. Gasper's trying to push him along across the line. So Benjamin Zerk comes across the line and doesn't quite do it. He does fail to improve on his lap time by a couple of thousandths of a second. But not quite enough for a Logix EV Racing Team 1-2 on the grid, but 1-3 is still very good. So we'll run down the order. The session's actually finished now. There's a few cars just finishing laps off. I don't think it's anything significant though. They look like they're just cruising round. Yeah, no one else is really on a lap. We'll run down the top. I'll do the top 12, and obviously James will do the final remaining cars. Now 26 cars in the service, so someone else has turned up a minute ago. I think that was Jason Muscat. So David Gaspers takes pole position with a 1:16.8, pretty much unchallenged for the entire session, and his main focus at the end was to try and get his teammate onto the front row alongside him. Georgios Manusakis takes second position for Torrent Motorsports, great qualifying for him. Benjamin Zerk third position for the second Logix EV Racing Team car, and Robin van Brink up in fourth position, once again showing strong for the Uxon Racing Team. Marek Skronowski pulled that lap from somewhere. He's not been doing that all week, and he's up in fifth position, so in a 1:17.4. Jim Price is currently sixth position, 5 places behind his mate Georgios Manusakis. They did it again. Aaron Maspero for Uxon, 7th position. Adrian McNaughton, 8th position for the Soulstorm Racing Team. Yep, can't see any of us in the server. His teammate would be Gaxella, but he hasn't turned up. Lotnowski, 9th position. Yanni Varnanen, 10th. Keith Story improved to 11th position on a 18.0, so a good lap from Keith. He wasn't very comfortable with the qualifying setup. Lee Massey was 12th, and I'll leave you to the final ones.
Okay, session's just ticked over, so unfortunately I can't tip you with times, but 13th Ehab Abbas, 14th Craig Johnson for Pinnacle, 15th Jeff Mead for Street Fighter, 16th Nick Phillips for Pinnacle, 17th Chris Gray for Red 5, 18th James Ross for Velocity, 19th Timu Toika for FA Racing, 20th David Junt for Tiger Express, 21st Wesley Morris for Synergetic Motorsports, 22nd Miles Dixon for Velocity Racing, 23rd Chris Williamson for Nijo, Dale Stones for Waterblue Racing's next. I think someone's just gotten out from the back of the grid, so it's messed up our position, but I think he was 24th. Jason Muscat 25th, Nigel McNamara 26th.
Yep, the warm-up session begins. We have 9.5 minutes of warm-up to go. Obviously, normally warm-up not really significant for anything in this league. Every even the Super League, Super Cup, whether it be Formula Challenge, they're not to be that important. Basically, the drivers just use it as a refresh. A lot of them sit in the pits and take a break, actually, which is not a bad thing to do, because especially if you're frustrated with the car. If you're very frustrated with the car, it can be a worse thing to try and go out and improve your position, as the cameras seem to have gone absolutely crazy, so apologies for that. Not quite sure what's going on there. Seems to have sorted itself out now, though. But yeah, sometimes going out on the circuit, if you're having struggles with the car, it can really affect your race, because you get more and more wound up in this warm-up session. You start the race with a hot head. Not always a good thing, so basically sometimes to take a chill out for this warm-up, come back to things, it's a lot easier to cope with the emotions you might be feeling. We're currently watching Jeff Mead, who qualified in a 14th position, which is not actually too bad, to be fair. He was struggling a little bit in the practice sessions to get the most out of the car. I think the biggest disappointment was Wesley Morris in 20th position, who should have been a lot higher than that, basically. Didn't get the best lap out, but he's looking a bit more consistent than he usually does anyway, as Jason Muscat rejoins the server. Obviously he's struggling with his connection once again by the looks of it. None of the top 6 out on track. Actually, none of the top 10 apart from Yanni Varnanen out on track either, so we'll switch to Varnanen, who's the first man going to be set a lap time. I will try, but the cameras don't seem to want to play at the moment. There he is, Janne Varninen for Tiger Express Motorsport, heading down the back straight.
I think we may have just missed it, but Yanni on the exit of turn 1 complex there, really struggling to get onto the power out of the corner, not so much for wheel slip or anything, but he was just running wide, a lot of understeer, so he was doing a bit of Senna-esque throttle stabbing there, so might have to watch him understeering a bit through here.
Indeed, a big queue of cars in the pit lane now, so a lot of drivers coming down the pit. Jim Parisi is one of them, but both Toro Motorsports there in the pit lanes, also a white car, I'm not quite sure who that is at the time. Maspero's also coming down the pit lane. So a lot of drivers taking the opportunity to get a few more laps in. But Varninen will be the first man across the line to set a lap time, and here he comes now to set the first lap of the warm-up session. And he sets a 1:19.3, not quite sure obviously what the race pace is around, they didn't do any race testing as such. And Jeff Mead will be the next man along to set a lap time, who's currently in 14th position. Around the final corner now as you what? No, he's not, sorry, he's in the first sector. It looks like he's finished his first lap actually, he didn't actually complete it, so maybe he went back in the pits. It would be Pavel Lotnowski who's going around the final few corners. And once again he isn't, he's just going through the first sector, and he's up actually 3/10 on the fastest lap time, so Lotnowski looking quick on race pace at the moment, but we haven't had any really representative lap times.
Just had a little bit of an update from our race director tonight. I'm not sure who that is tonight because Chris is racing. He's just said that 7 people were in the field now were here before 2012. So it just goes to show you how quickly GPVWC is growing. Only 7 of the people that are on this grid tonight were here before the first race in 2012.
Now that's a pretty interesting stat actually. Like you say, we've got 28 people on the grid now. No, it's 27, sorry, because I'm in there for some reason as well. I might have to sort that out in a minute. But I'll do that now. But yeah, 7 drivers. I mean, that's basically 20 new drivers to this particular league. Obviously, the others have got new drivers as well, Super Cup and Super League. But I think, like you say, it shows the winds of change as well, because it was pretty much the same drivers always before for the last few years, and now they've really upped the game at GPVWC. It's changed quite a lot of new faces, and it's good faces. It's not people who are learning the game or anything like that. There's a lot of quick people who've joined this league, and obviously Gasper's taking the pole position by such a margin just shows because he dominated the last race, didn't he? So is he going to do the same again today?
Race director has just gone one step further with that stat and noted that only 5 of those 7 are new. Sorry, I should rephrase that. Only 5 of the people of that 7 were here before Masters in 2011. So Masters Series is the Winter Challenge, which is run after all of the Open Wheeler Series have cleaned up. So we've got another 2 members that joined for that. So at the end of last series is Open Wheeler season. So there was only 5 of the people that are here right now. So that's almost 25 new members since the end of last Open Wheeler Series last year.
Yeah, just in this particular league, and also one thing to point out is that if you put an advert up for a spare seat in this league, say for example, I mean I run the Drake Racing team, James you run the Red 5 team, you put an advert out for a driver wanted, and the amount of replies you get from people who haven't actually got drivers or race seats or even testing roles. I mean, I put an advert out for the other day for a testing role for Super League, and by the way, this is a shameless plug. If anyone's still interested in that, please get your notes in. But yeah, if you put an advert out for even a testing role, which normally you'd think people wouldn't be that interested in, you get a heap of emails and replies saying, "Oh, we'd love to test it, and you know, we'd get into this race seat, this test seat, whatever seat it may be." And it's crazy. There's a lot of drivers out there in this league who, I mean, we're saying now we've got 27 drivers tonight. That's basically a full grid because all the teams are taken, all the seats are taken, not one spare seat pretty much in the house, and that's the problem we've got. We've got too many drivers who can't get seats, which is why obviously they're having to open up a lot more leagues within the league itself, a lot more separate leagues like the Touring Car Championships, the Endurance Series, to basically give people a chance to drive. Just
to continue on with that about setting putting up in the forum looking for a job. A lot of guys, when we get responses for those requests, sending us an email or sending us a message on the forum saying, hey look, I've been on live races, I've been on the server, I'm setting really quick times, I think I'm going to be a good driver for you. Guys have to remember, when live races works, it's a great tool. We can view every single sector you've done, every single fuel load you've got. So we're not looking for outright lap times. If you guys want to impress, get on there and do consistent race pace times. Show us that you can do really good times and people will want you. Just setting a really fast time doesn't really mean that anyone's going to be too interested. So a lot of consistency. The caliber of the drivers here is getting so much tighter at the top, and there's a lot of top drivers coming in. So it's going to be really hard to get a seat just setting one really quick time. You need to see guys coming in and doing consistent times to get in the top seats.
Yeah, definitely. I think Lucas Euler made the point on the forum the other day as well about the fact that for these test sessions, the big test session which is upcoming and pretty much in the Super League, that is, which is pretty much crucial to that championship as well, and how that's going to turn out. Obviously the R&D points you receive from the test session will be quite significant to how many upgrades you can put on the car towards the end of the season. You're currently on board with Jim Parisi hunting down the two Logix EV Racing Team guys who are once again together in the session. You seem to like to stick together quite a lot, these guys. We have to keep an eye on what's going on here, because these two swapping positions, just trying to trade fastest laps. Him getting on the mix now, so this could be quite an interesting battle during the warm-up. We have some action. Anyway, as I was saying, the tests that are upcoming, you're not after someone who can set fast lap times, you're after someone who can put the 40 laps in, which is the max you can do in the 40 R&D max laps, that is, in the test session. That's the max you can do, and you don't want someone who's spinning off every lap trying to set a hot lap. So it's not always about hot lapping. It's like I was trying to get a point across to someone else earlier. It's about consistency. The consistency will get you a race result. The fast lap won't. And we do quite often see drivers qualifying quite high in all the leagues, Super League, Super Cup, and the Formula Challenge tonight. We see drivers qualifying pretty high, and then during the race they just fall backwards. And obviously, one man who used to do that was Roy Scroton until last week in the Super Cup series, when he had an excellent second place at the Turkish Grand Prix. And if you can get the consistency along with the speed, then you're going to put yourself in good stead for a seat, you know, and a race seat in a top team.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Roy last week in the Super Cup. I didn't actually see him too often because I was on the track myself, but when I watched the broadcast afterwards, he was quite impressive. And I'll just put it out there, I did actually contact Roy for a seat in Red 5 to see if he's interested, and unfortunately for Roy, he's unavailable to race on Thursday night. So he's a quality driver. He's really improved in the last 6 months, and well deserving of a Super League race seat, but unfortunately he just can't commit to the times.
Yeah, definitely. I was watching Jim Parisi. This is a great scrap actually. It's not actually for position, obviously, as Gaspers launches up the inside of Zert, which gives Parisi the inside for the exit. Can't quite cut it back. This is a great scrap. Hopefully the race will be like this, because Parisi is looking pretty competitive when it comes to race pace. I know the two Logix guys are just messing about, really, just finding the limits. As Gasper's getting very sideways there onto the entry. This will give his team, as Parisi spins actually just as we jinx him. And the two Logix guys come together as well now, so that got messy in the end, but obviously just testing the limits of what they can do. Well, that was a great scrap up until then. Really aggressive from all of them. And yeah, just getting back to your point as well, there's a lot of drivers who could, you know, be really potentially quick, but just can't make it because of real life commitments. So obviously, you know, your real life is a priority, and we can't always see the best drivers racing in the top leagues because they can't make the times. I've been hit by that before as well. We've not been able to get into certain leagues because of the times. I'm sure everyone else has as well, which is a bit of a shame, but it does mix the fields up a little bit. And last week Scroton did an excellent job. And the warm-up has flown by, and we're now at the end of it, so that 9 minutes went really quickly. Manasakis, and they did it again, sorry Georgios, was fastest in that session from his teammate, both on a 1:17.6, so the two Torrents looking pretty strong on race pace there. Obviously I don't expect that to be fast as the two Logix can do, as we saw they was racing each other throughout that session, didn't actually get into the 17s. We'll see a lot stronger performance from them during the race. Any predictions for the race, James?
I think Logix have a good opportunity to walk away with this. Even while they were battling then, Jimmy found it very hard to get away. Get ahead of them. I don't know if he was even trying to, or if he was just studying them. I know a lot of guys would probably just sit back and take the opportunity rather than to rush ahead. Jim's a smart guy. He'd sit back and he'd watch them to see what they're doing. But if they do what they were doing then in warm-up, nobody's going to be able to get past them. They can look like they're racing each other. And it's going to make for an exciting broadcast, of course. So I think Logics have got the edge here on Jim. And UKSOM, who knows? They could come into it. Didn't they win the second race last week? So you never know, they could come back into it as well.
Yeah, there might be a slight delay here because we're just waiting for someone to rejoin. I'm not quite sure it is, but apparently he had a few issues sorting out his game, but hopefully that'll be sorted out. Once again, if you want to get your predictions in, as James has just said, if you had a different view to James and the Logic CV team pretty much dominating the race, which is pretty much what I believe will happen as well. But if you want to get your predictions in, any thoughts about the broadcast or GPWC in general, any shameless plugs, but remember, no Australian jokes.
I better leave then.
So we're just waiting for this gentleman to rejoin. We're not quite sure who it is at the moment, but I'm sure it'll sort itself out. Possibly could be Jason Muscat. No, actually he's still in the server, so it's not Jason Muscat. The warm-up looks like it's going to be restarted, so we might get another few minutes of warm-up here. This will benefit the drivers who are still trying to make some setup modifications. Lotnowski tries to get out of the pit lane. That was a adventurous moment there in the pit lane for Pavel Lotnowski. And just discussing a few drivers actually, obviously we're just going through people like Roy Scroton, who seems to have improved, and Miles Dixon proposing topic of chat, which is what everyone had for dinner. So if you'd like to get your serving suggestions in, then please do so. As Miles Dixon, he seems very interested in what everyone's been eating recently. Fish and chips, and Keith Story comes out with the answer beer, which is quite appropriate. Jeff Mead last week obviously joined the race after having a couple of pints of well, whatever it was he was drinking. But yeah, just discussing a few drivers, sorry, jokes aside. We were just discussing Roy Scroton improving. Miles Dixon disagrees that fish and chips is boring, so not quite the serving suggestion he was after. But yeah, discussion drivers, we'll get back to this point. Pavel Lotnowski, one of the drivers who, in recent races, let's say, or this year alone, I mean last year was right up in the Nordson racing car at the end of the season. He was finishing second, third, sometimes racing against Joe. This season so far, he's been pretty disappointing as he's taking a scenic route there, so we'll switch away from that. This season so far, he's really failed to impress, let's say. He's fallen back through the field, and I know in the Super League he's in quite a good car and he's really struggling. Any other drivers that stand out to you as well, James, that have really, obviously don't mention ourselves, but that have failed to deliver?
Not off the top of my head, to be honest. I've been concentrating too much on myself. It's a bit like me, though. I think we'll find that it's Nigel McNamara that we're waiting on, I think. Yep, there we go. He's
just rejoined. Yeah, that's very correct. My dad, just was watching the broadcast tonight, has just messaged in and says cheese and crackers. So be interesting to see what Miles Dixon thinks of cheese and crackers as a lunch serving suggestion. The grid's been now being reset as you're watching the two Torrent Motorsports guys just getting them the last few practice laps in.
So yeah, the drivers really showing their maturity. So serving suggestions, people's genitalia, and babies' heads with peas. So a few of the guys need to grow up a bit, I think.
Definitely. Miles Dixon doesn't necessarily agree with cheese and crackers either, but he also makes out that my dad is a boss. So thank you for that, Miles. We would appreciate that. As the grid is now set, we are actually in the race session, obviously just waiting for the guys to come onto the grid. But yeah, the reason I got onto the topic of driver performance is the fact that obviously it's pretty much halfway through the season now. I mean, a lot of the drivers who started the Formula Challenge League have been promoted to other series, for example, to race for other teams because of their talents. They've been seen as a great talent, so they've said, well, let's snap him up and get him into a top team, see what you can do in a higher league. And that's really worked out. I mean, even for yourself, let's say, because you started off in the Super Cup series, you were snapped up pretty quickly and taken to the top level of Super League, and you've had a podium and a 4th position now in the last 2 races, so it just shows, doesn't it?
I actually started in round 3 of the Formula Challenge. I raced at Vallelunga.
You did indeed, yeah.
for Midnight Motorsport. So had a race there, bit of a messy first race, but second race I managed to come home with some points, and then I got in contact with Adam, and he got me a seat at Halcyon in the Super Cup. So yeah, just put in a good solid performance and show that you can be consistent in a race, and you'll be picked up pretty quick as long as the seat's available.
Yeah, that's very true, and it's good advice to any drivers out there who are looking to progress. We'll run down the grid. Obviously, we can talk about just during the race. If the race gets a bit, fingers crossed it won't, but if the race gets a bit processional, which it's got the potential to do, what we'll do is we'll run down the drivers basically, and we'll give a little review of them and discuss how we think they've got on. Obviously, some of the new drivers we can't really do that, but it'll give us a point of topic to talk about anyway, and people can get involved with that if they really want to give their opinion on who's been the best driver so far this season. We'll run down the grid for you quickly, as we've only got half a lap. We've got David Gaspers in first position, followed by Manasakis second, Benjamin Zirk third, Robin Van Brenk fourth position, Marek Skronowski fifth, Jim Parisi sixth, Aaron Maspero seventh, Adrian McNaughton eighth, Pavel Loknovsky ninth position, Yanni Varnon 10th, Keith Story 11th, and Lee Massey 12th.
Ehab Abbas 13th, 14th Craig Story, 15th Jeff Mead, 16th Nick Phillips, 17th Chris Gray, 18th James Ross, 19th Timu Toika, 20th David Junt, 21st Wesley Morris, 22nd Miles Dixon, 23rd Chris Williamson, 24th Dale Stones, 25th Jason Muscat, 26th Nigel McNamara.
These are a packed out grid of 26 cars tonight. The leaders just come around to the start line now. You're just watching the final position man, Nigel McNamara, who's coming around the final corner now. Obviously he's had some issues getting into the server. He seems okay now, as he's running the final corner very slowly, actually, leaving himself a big gap to the front runners. That's not quite sporting. He really wants to hurry that up a little bit. We'll switch back to the leaders, and you can just see in the background Nigel strolling around the final few corners, or the final corner that is, to get into his grid position. Someone seems slightly out of grid position there. I'm not quite. That seems Jeff Mead there, who's just taking a bit of time to get into his grid box. Everyone is now into the grid box, and the 2012 Ultranet Networks GPVWC Brazilian Grand Prix Formula Challenge event is about to get underway. The lights are out, and let's have a look who's getting a good start off the line. It's one of the top motorsports guys. That's Manasakis, who's got a great start off the line, but Benjamin Zirk is alongside him and already into second position. You can see his teammate David Gaspers there. We can see in the background no issues so far into turn one. It's Gaspers into turn one, leads from Zirk, so it is a Logix EV Racing Team 1-2, and into third position comes one of the Oxem cars. That's Robin Van Brenk in the background. Is anything happening, James? Can you see anything?
Yeah, there's a United Motorsports car off. I don't think it's Skronowski.
It's Keith Story.
He's had a spin.
Keith Story, unfortunately, has had a spin into turn one. Well spotted there, but the two Logix guys are away with it, and we saw in the warm-up they were practicing together of how to pull away from the rest of the field. Now they've got the aid of each other's slipstream, so they should be able to work really well together. But into fourth position has gone to Manasakis, who's dropped down to fourth. Aaron Maspero is up into fifth. Marek Skronowski sixth. Jim Parisi is seventh. Still a bit of swapping around going on in the midfield. Yanni Varnon still inside the top 10. The top 10 are pretty much static apart from the front runners who changed slightly, but you can see the two Logix cars have pretty much flown away already as Marek gets into fifth position there. We'll go and have a look at Marek on board as he's right up behind Georgios Manasakis now. So for once Marek making a great start. Normally he drops back at the start. There's a few changes. Jim Parisi has dropped down to 8th position there. Not quite sure. Was that off?
Wide. That was Robin Van
Brenk. Yeah, he's off.
He's just gone wide and destroyed his car.
That's cold tyres for sure. That's got to be cold tyres. Robin Van Brenk, after a great start, he's actually having to the pit now because he's got no front wing. So that takes him out of the position. This promotes Marek into fourth position. And we're on board with Marek, and we know he's got a good top speed because he's using my setup or very close to it. So to turn one, you can see Benjamin Zirk takes the lead from his teammate Gaspers, but that looks planned to me. It looks like they're just basically planning it between themselves. We'll quickly switch back to them too. You see Benjamin Zirk leads the way after lap one from David Gaspers. Georgios Manasakis back into third position after the Yuxom car's demise, and they've got a huge gap of 2 seconds to Manasakis in third position. Marek Skronowski fourth, Aaron Maspero fifth. Jim Parisi is up to sixth position. We have a couple of retirements at the back. McMahon has been disqualified for some reason, not quite sure why. Maybe he's cut the track, unfortunately. Jim Parisi is in sixth position under pressure from Adrian McNaughton in seventh. Pavel Loknovsky and Ehab Abbas having a great battle in eighth position. Quickly switch to that as Nick Phillips is also in there. Nick Phillips has a great start to get up the field there. Miles Dixon up to 12th, Craig Johnson 13th, Jeff Mead down to 15th, Wesley Morris up to 16th from 20th, Keith Story back up to 20th already after his first corner mishap. I'm not quite sure what happened to turn one. We'll have to have a look at that later. It was very clean apart from Keith spinning though, unfortunately. And now in the background there you see Marek has actually got past. No, he hasn't. He's actually nearly been passed by Maspero there. He's got Maspero all over the back of him now as he comes down into turn 1. Marek has going to have to defend the inside, but he doesn't. He leaves the door open as the two Logic EV Racing guys swap positions again as Gaspers retakes the lead, but they're really working together to pull a gap, which is now 2.1 seconds to Manusakis. Marek Skronowski loses that position to Aaron Maspero as you see he slipstream and had the inside line for turn 1. But Marek's still in the strong position in 5th position. Jim Paris is 6th, all on his own now. He's pulled away from Adrian McNaughton, who's dropped back into the clutches of Ihab Abbas. But the only 2 retirements so far are Craig Johnson, who's just pulled out the race, and Nigel McMahon, who got disqualified for an unknown reason so far. Now we usually see this from Marek. Obviously he takes a few laps to get up to temperature and he really comes faster later on, so let's see if he can improve his pace as the race goes on. Usually he runs slightly more fuel than everyone else. Nick Phillips in 10th position having a great race actually. He's up into 10th, just past Yanni Varnen now. He's dropped outside the top 10. Yanni Varnen on the outside there, being squeezed by Nick. Marek now coming back at Aaron Maspero as we go into the final corner. Marek's got a good run on the exit here. We'll be in the slipstream. We'll quickly look at that. And he is in the slipstream of the car in front, which is Aaron Maspero in the Upton Racing car. He's got a good toe down the main straight now, so Marek will be able to have a go into turn 1, providing Aaron stays to the left, and he does indeed. So Marek's got the inside now for turn 1. We'll switch to the TV camera view. Marek does have the inside line. Can he brake later? Yes, he does. Only one way through that corner. You cannot make 2 cars through there. It's one line corner. And Marek retakes that 4th position with great moving to turn 1. So basically repeats what Aaron did to him a previous lap. Manusakis struggling to match the leaders at the moment. He's in 3rd position now, 2.8 seconds behind, and not really pulling away from Marek either, despite the fact that them two are battling. But the two Logic EV Racing guys are battling each other at the moment. They've just got to be careful they don't end up tangling with each other like we saw in the warm-up as Gaspers gets very wide on the exit of one of the corners. Marek's still under pressure from Aaron Maspero in 5th position. Quite a good battle going on for 7th position, which involves Adrian McNaughton in 7th in the Storm Racing team. He's got Ihab Abbas and Pavel Lotnowski right on the back of him. In the background you see Nick Phillips and Yanni Varnen very close together as well. Miles Dixon, Jeff Mead in 13th, Timo Toyka up to 14th position, David Junt 15th, Wesley Morris is 16th, Lee Massey and Keith Story the next up, James Ross, Chris Williamson, Dale Stones, Jason Muscat. Robbie Van Brenk is struggling around in 25th position. He's actually 2 laps down after that wing change, so he's had a disastrous race so far. As now Maspero, no, that's not Maspero, that is the battle we were watching before for 7th position. McNaughton now is at Ihab Abbas alongside him. Ihab Abbas has the inside line for turn 1 and takes the position. Yes, he does. Good move there. And the two Logic EV Racing team guys, as you said there, James, have just disappeared so far. James Shepherd looks like he's lost connection to us at the moment, so he'll be back shortly, hopefully. So for now, it's just me. For the two Logics guys, obviously James, I'll just bring James back in here. Yeah, James is now back with us. But yes, as James predicted, the two Logics EV Racing guys have just pretty much dominated this so far. They're swapping positions every corner pretty much, but they're still pulling away now. 3.2 seconds in front of Manusakis.
Yeah, I just want to go back on to Nigel McNamara. We didn't see it in the background there, but he was involved in a big crash involving about 3 or 4 cars. And he flipped onto his roof and was facing the wrong way and just started driving the wrong way around the track. Obviously, not a lot of track knowledge there, so he got disqualified for travelling the wrong direction around the circuit.
Yeah, he might also get a penalty as well after this race because he did decide to chat in the chat box while everyone else is racing. There's Jeff Mead, that's Miles Dixon has come from nowhere there, and Jeff Mead now, he's just taken Timo Toyka, I believe, and now he's in a freeway scrap. They're going to be 3 wide down this main straight. We'll go on the rearward view now of Jeff Mead, who's taken both of them into turn 1. Miles Dixon decides not to retaliate too much, and Jeff now gets to the 12th position, so Jeff making some good progress here through the field, which is good for him. Nick Phillips still having a great battle in 10th, you can just see in the front there. He's got Yanni Varnen still over the back of him. A big scrap going on for 7th position between Ihab Abbas, Adrian McNaughton and Pavel Lotnowski. The leaders have still together. Gaspers and Zerk are still together now. We'll have a quick look at them because they haven't given much airtime so far. Benjamin Zerk leads his teammate Gaspers, who seems quite content to just sit behind him because they're pulling away at a half a second lap at the moment. Manusakis in third position we'll have a look at now. You can see he's pretty much on his own, but in the background there, that was Jim Parisis taking Marek Skronowski for that fourth position. Now Marek must have made a mistake there because he had a big gap to Jim. It was nearly 2 or 3 seconds, and now it's nothing. You can see he's got Aaron Maspero right in the back of him as well, so Marek looking like he's made a mistake there, and that's enabled Jim Parisis to get right back past him, but Marek retaliating straight away. Looking back from Jim now. See there, Marek's right in the slipstream. Marek's got a good toe now. Jim will have to go defensive, which he does. Jim cuts to the left, or our left. Marek's now on the outside. Now Marek really won't be able to make this move around the outside because it's a one-line corner, but Marek brakes very late and tries it. He's definitely trying it, and he holds the line and takes the position. That was a fantastic pass there from Marek Skronowski. Didn't expect him to make that move because it's a one-line corner. I mean, Jim, fair play to Jim there. He was very fair in his defensive driving there. Didn't squeeze him too much, and now Jim Parisis is under pressure from Aaron Maspero. That was very gentleman driving there from Jim because he could have quite easily launched it up the inside and kept that position. Great pass from Marek though.
Yep, it's a bit of a shame though that Aaron couldn't get past it as well because Jim's exit was a bit compromised and a little bit slow, and Aaron nearly went up the back of him. Had he been a little bit faster through there, I think Aaron could have got past him as well.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously, the way the corner goes, he got a little bit blocked. But that was a brilliant pass. I really didn't expect him to do that. Took us all by surprise. I've not seen anyone go around the outside there. We're still watching this battle now as Marek's recovered himself now into fourth position. If he can just get his head down, he can pull away from these two while these two battle, because Jim Parisis still has Aaron Maspero all over the back of him. Maspero's got the better run off the corner there. Jim has slight twitch at the rear end there. He's pulling away now, but as soon as Maspero picks up his top speed and slipstream, he'll blast past him, I'm sure, as we come down into turn 1 now. You can see him edging up slowly but surely. He's still got plenty of time before the braking zone, but is he going to launch it down the inside? He'd be very brave to do so. But Jim actually had the slipstream there of Marek in front, so that helped him defend that position. And now Jim's got a good run on Marek now, so it's suddenly switched around, but he runs slightly wide there on the exit. Maspero not close enough to take advantage that time in the background. He's getting a good total, and Jim decides he needs to go defensive to cover that position from Maspero, who's looking very threatening, trying to go around the outside there. You see now he'll get the switchback. Maspero will get the switchback off this corner now. You see he'll get the better run off the corner, and he'll try and stick it to the inside. This is the right hand side now. He'll try and go down the right hand side, not the left, the right, because the next corner's left. Jim covers the inside line though and brakes very late, locking the inside wheel. This gives Maspero a better run off the corner once again. Maspero there getting a better run, but he's got nowhere to go for these next few corners because it's one line. And he'll basically have to set it up for the main straight again like he did last time. This is allowing, I'd say allowing Skronowski to get away, but if we take a look at the TV view, you can see he's just in front of us. Maspero's got the good run. Jim once again deciding he needs to go defensive to defend from Maspero. Gets very close. You see he was so close to touching it. He may have even did touch the rear wing there, but that was very close. But he's a lot closer than he was last lap now, so he should get a good slipstream. But the problem is, if we look in front, Jim Parisis is getting a slipstream off of Marek Skronowski, and he's getting the better toe here. And Jim Parisis, from being defensive, is now being on the offensive, and he'll take that position. And will Maspero take them both? Maspero's got the inside line. We'll go back to the TV view and see what happens. Marek brakes very late on the outside once again. He had to go over the cut this time though. He actually cut that corner, so he will have to give that position up, and he does so. He gives that position to Jim Parisis, recognises that he would have received a penalty for that move. So very good driving there from Marek, very knowledgeable. This has allowed him to get the slipstream though once again of Jim Parisis. Maspero is still in the background trying to make something of this. We're on the board looking rearward now from Jim Parisis. Marek will get the better run off the corner. As you saw last lap, this is exactly what Maspero did, but he had nowhere to go. Jim covered the inside line to the next corner very well, and he does once again. He's on the middle of the track, and Skronowski's got nowhere to go. He's looking for the switch back off the corner. He's done it very well, Marek, actually, but will he have anywhere to go? Will he be brave enough in the inside of this corner? We've seen him pass around the outside. He's now coming down to the fast left-hander. Will he be brave enough to keep it full throttle on the inside here? Jim gives him a bit of room, and this will give Marek the better line, because on the exit, Marek's running very wide though, and he's got off slightly. He's gone to the grass. He holds it okay, and he'll have a decent run out the final corner still. Maspero trying to make something of this. Maspero trying to go on the outside. Now Jim Parisis, this is a superb battle for fourth position. It really is. And Jim now is in the middle. Jim's got Marek all over the front of him, over the back of him, sorry, and they're going to go 3 wide across the line. So it's Maspero, Parisis, Skronowski, all 3 wide going across the start and finish line. We'll go on board with Jim. On our right is Marek, trying to get down the inside. We'll switch to the TV view, see what happens. Maspero keeps his position but runs wide. This allows Marek up the inside. Marek will take back his 4th position, I believe. No, but Maspero cuts him off, and that allows Jim back through as well. What a... I've been able to be quiet for 2 laps. This is unbelievable racing. I had a bad throat before this. Sorry, James.
Might be a bit touch and go with that turn 1 complex. He was very, very close to cutting, trying to hold his position there. Let's hope he doesn't get a penalty for that, because that made for some great racing.
Indeed, you've got to be very careful, obviously, as you say. Sometimes it's hard too wide not to run too wide into a corner, things like that, as we just saw Marek a minute ago running off the track, and Marek's lost a bundle of time in that first sector, actually. That's allowed Jim and Maspero to escape. Ahababas is in 7th position, having disposed of Adrian McNaughton and Pavel Lotnowski now. He's pulled away and he's actually right on the back of this fantastic scrap for 4th position, which is still going on. The 2 leaders are well, in the league of their own at the moment. Zerk and Gasper's working really well together. They're 5 seconds in front, and they're already 11 seconds in front of this battle for 4th position, which once again Jim Priest is looking to take now as we look on board. Jim Priest, that's on our left, that's Maspero, was on our left because we're now past him into turn 1. We've seen some very good overtakes into turn 1. Jim takes that 4th position. Now this is all Jim needs to do, 4th position. That'll do him fine because he's still ahead of his championship contenders, still pulling away in the championship, but I'm sure he wants more. Just rounding out the top 10, Yanni Varnen's still there in front of Nick Phillips, so he's still going strong. Timo Toika and David Junt having a great battle into turn 1 actually. In fact, we'll quickly switch to this battle for 12th position, sorry. There you go, there's a big scrap going on for this position, which goes right from 12th position to 16th. And that involves Timo Toika, who's currently leading that battle from Lee Massey, who was going on the inside and it was being passed by David Junt, sorry. Miles Dixon is 15th and keeps straight up to 16th from his spinning turn 1. That's a big scrap. We've had another retirement actually, which is James Ross. Jeff Mead's dropped back down the field, so he's had some issues as well, unfortunately for him. And Jim Priest is in 4th position, is under pressure now. Maspero's coming back, I think Jim goes to the inside to defend. Maspero trying to go around the outside. He tried this before a few laps ago. Didn't quite work, but he will get the better exit off the corner. As you see, he carries the momentum and gets a better exit. Marek in the background actually catching back up now as well. So we've got to keep an eye on him as Maspero gets a great toe and now goes to the inside for turn 1. These 2 battling will allow Ahababas and Marek Skanowski to close up. You can see in the background the whole heap of cars as Maspero takes the inside line. Jim Priest can do nothing about it. Jim tries to hang on around the outside but can't go anywhere, and that's allowed Marek right onto the back now, and you see Marek just there, right behind us. Maspero gets very wide into turn 1 though. He makes a big mistake in turn 1. This allows Marek to get the inside, and Marek will take back that 5th position. Big mistake there from Maspero after making the move into turn 1, so Marek suddenly finds himself back in between these 2. Battle resumed. We've seen what they were doing a minute ago, this lot, so let's hope for something similar, because it was a superb scrap between the lot of them. Keith Story has disposed of a few. Timo Turkey's made a big mistake as well, unfortunately. He's spun off or been knocked off. He's now down to 17th position at 12th place. So we have a 3-way scrap again for that 3rd. And Benjamin Zerk, what's happened to Zerk? And Gaspers, the leaders have touched, the leaders have clashed. The 2 leaders have clashed. I'm just going to take a look at the replay now. The 2 leaders have clashed because Manasakis is now leading the race. And I'm just going to find out where this happened. And it was turn 3. David Gaspers got wide and went onto the grass. And Zerk hit him. So the 2 Logics guys, who were playing this really well at first, they worked together to pull away, have now given the lead to Manasakis and Torrent Motorsports, and this has closed the field right back up again because Benjamin Zerk's down to 3rd position. That was Gasper's mistake, and he let Zerk had nowhere to go and hit him up the rear, and they both went off the circuit, and Manasakis gifted the lead. Now the key is now how much damage the 2 Logics guys got. They've still got a 2nd and 3rd position at the moment, but that was quite a hefty hit there that Zerk had to deal with. We could see something like that happening, obviously running so close together. That's the only danger. If one guy makes a mistake, the other's got nowhere to go, and that's the only downside to what they were doing there. We'll quickly switch back to the 5th position battle, which is still raging as Marek takes that position from Aaron Maspero. Jim Priest is making a slight gap now in that 4th position. You can see him there just in the front, once again locking his inside brake. Well, we were going to discuss driver performance during this race if we had nothing to talk about, but so far I haven't been able to stop talking, and my sore throat is coming back again. Been an action-packed race so far, that's for sure. I didn't expect the 2 leaders to take each other out like that. I'm so glad we caught up on what happened there, because it would have been very confusing had we not known what happened. I'm shame we didn't get it on camera, like. battle for 5th currently taking a break as the slipstream is playing very little effect. Someone's just entered the pit. That's Miles. No, it's not David Junt, is it? No, it's Lee Massey. Lee Massey's decided to pit. And we've already done 13 laps in this race. Can you believe 13 laps have passed already? We're nearly at a pit stop window, so this race has flown by so far. We've had so much action in the first few laps.
The laps are so quick here, and due to the constant speed, there's not a lot of, although there's a lot of acceleration, there's not a lot of acceleration that's going to burn a lot of fuel because you're trying to carry that speed. And I think, I'm not quite certain, but I have a feeling that the guys might be able to last the entire race without pitting.
I'm not quite sure of that one because we were discussing this the other day with people like Marek and Keith, and we weren't sure on what exactly the fuel load per lap, what could last the entire race. I didn't test it myself, so I couldn't really make a comment on that, but it has been done before where they do 0 stops. Obviously, the fresh tyres don't really benefit too much in this league. As the battle for 4th rages on, you can see now Marek right on the back of Jim Parisis. He's caught him up pretty quickly, so Jim not really as quick at this track as he has been. His teammate Manusakis is leading the race. Obviously, and Zerk has pitted, Benjamin Zerk has pitted of the Logic TV. Now let's see how much damage he had, because he's in the pit lane. Did he choose to repair that damage? He took a big old hit there in turn 1 when he hit his teammate Gaspers. He's in the pit lane for a very long time. He's still stationary, so Benjamin Zerk dropping down the order is down to 11th position. So that will have cost Benjamin, but maybe his damage has been repaired now. But once again, Zerk coming off worst in the collision. The last race he had a collision and fell right back down the field. He's now joining in 14th position, so he's got a lot of work to do. Obviously the guys in front are yet to pit, but that's really going to compromise his race from now on. Gaspers has still got a great chance of winning it, despite the fact it was him who made the mistake, and he's in 2nd position. He's closing in on Manusakis, so his damage can't be that bad. You're currently on board with Marek Skanowski, who's got all of the back of him. I'm just glad I switched to that there, because Maspero is right on the back of us. As Jim Priest, you can see the smoke from his locking inside brake once again, and Marek gets very close, has to ease off on the exit there, which costs him slightly, which gives Maspero a better run off the exit. Now we've seen him trying to go side by side 3 before, and it didn't quite work out. Marek ended up off the circuit, and this time it is Manusakis who pits. David Gaspers decides to go around and complete another lap. Will any of these guys pit? No, they're all continuing on. So the only guy to pit this time around is he's Manusakis from the lead. Now this is key for Gaspers now to get his foot down.
Gaspers is out of fuel. Gaspers is out of fuel. He's coasting.
He is indeed. Gaspers is coasting. That we're going to quickly look. Gaspers, who's leading this race, he's coasting through turn 1 there. He was very, very slow. He's in top gear. If you listen to his revs, are very low. His revs are very, very low. He's coasting around trying to save fuel. He's trying to get this extra lap out of it, but you can see in the background, we'll quickly take a look, you can see in the background, that's the battle, which were 10 seconds behind him, closing in very fast. So could this be? Yeah, this is a disaster for the Logics team. They've had Zerk, who's been taken out, and they had to make a long pit stop. They've got Gaspers, who looks like he's out of fuel, and it would make sense because he's at the halfway mark of the race, and if he's tried to do it half and half, he's not got it right. Maybe he should have pitted a lap ago. But we'll quickly switch back to this battle for current 2nd position. Jim Parisis, Aaron Maspero, and Marek Skanowski all still together. Marek Skanowski's fell to the back of this, and Maspero's the one on the advance now. But Gasper's coasting. Can he make it to the pit lane? We're watching him now. We're on board. His engine's still running, but it's cutting, it's spluttering in and out. He's still there. If he can just coast it now, he will be able to get into the pits. But it is uphill now. He runs very wide into the pit entry. He doesn't need to spin because he's got no fuel. It must be fuel. That's the only reason he'd be going so slow. As the battle for now 1st position as Gaspers pits. Gaspers does make it to the pit, so he's just made it, but that's compromised him heavily. Jim Parisis leads the way, but Maspero's right in the slipstream, and Marek following as well, following suit to the inside. Jim Parisis takes the inside line, which Maspero is going to have to position into turn 1. Can Maspero outbrake him on the outside? No, Jim breaks very late for turn 1. Marek tries to take advantage of Maspero's position and does so. Oh, it's so close in the background. This is fantastic racing, really is fantastic racing. So Jim Parisis currently leads the way. Aaron Maspero, Marek Skanowski all yet to pit. Ihab Abbas is 4th position, Adrian McNaughton 5th, Keith Story up to 6th position, once again yet to pit. Manusakis, who has pitted, is now in 7th position, and he is the effective race leader in my eyes because he's 7th, but he's a good 6 or 7 seconds in front of Benjamin Zerk and Gaspers, who has rejoined the circuit now, a long way behind. So perhaps it isn't going to be a Logic TV race in 1-2. We did think they were going to clear off and win this race, and they had the potential to do so, but 2 mistakes, one from Gaspers. In fact, they're both from Gaspers, actually. Gaspers took out his teammate early on, and Gaspers nearly ran out of fuel. And that's cost them heavily, because they're now 9th and 10th. They will come back up into the top 3, I'm sure, but I don't think they're going to win this race unless they can pull off something superb, because Manusakis has got this one in the bag. As Jim Parisi pulls into the pit lane, Maspero and Skronowski carry on. Hababas also pits from 4th position. McNaughton carries on as well. But it's Maspero who's leading this race at the moment. Marek Skronowski in 2nd position, Adrian McNaughton just in the background. McNaughton was way behind earlier on in this race. He's now about, he's 4 seconds behind the leaders. Manusakis coming around the final corner, who is the effective race leader, will jump back up to 4th or 5th position here. Keith Story carries on as well and goes through into 4th position. Manusakis just behind him in 5th. Maspero with Marek Skronowski right in the back of them. These two have been together for the entire of the first stint. It'd be interesting to see where the two Logic guys feed in with this. The man who is most likely to win this race, apart from Manusakis, is Benjamin Zirk, because he's only... in fact, Gaspers is 12 seconds behind Manusakis now, so that cost him a lot of time. But he did at least get back to the pits. But Zirk, the man in 7th position, we're going to take a look at now. He's going to make progress as he comes through the field. That's a back marker we're passing now. That is one of the Nijo cars of Chris Williamson, who gets dutifully out of the way there. And in front of us there, that is David Junt, and that is for position. David Junt is yet to pit in 6th position. Maspero and Skronowski come around the final few corners now, and Marek carries on. Whereas Maspero goes into the pit, so Marek Skronowski leads the race after not pitting yet. Adrian McNaughton also carries on in 3rd position. I'd expect Keith Story to have a pit or carry on as well, because he's on the same strategy as Skronowski, I would expect. Keith Story coming around the final few corners now. Keith does peel into the pit lane, so maybe Marek's coming in the next lap or so. Manusakis goes back up to 4th position now with this. As you can see, Benjamin Zirk getting slightly held up here. Manusakis coming around the final corner now. He's got about a 5-second lead on the effective 2nd position man, which I believe will be Benjamin Zirk when all this works out. But would Skronowski be doing something you suggested? Maybe doing a 0 stop? We'll soon find out. Zirk gets the brilliant slipstream off David Junt, and he takes that position with ease. So that's Zirk now 5 seconds exactly behind Manusakis. But Zirk cutting the line there very closely. They have to be careful with that.
Yeah, that was a bit too close, I think. Marek could be doing something, maybe not 0 stopping, but as we've said, the tyres in this, new tyres, you don't get much of a benefit from. You're better off pitting, keeping the same set of tyres on, because they keep a little bit more heat, and of course they're worn in. But if the guys who, I don't understand why guys haven't been doing this, because the few races that I did in this, I found it far more beneficial to fill the car up completely full with fuel. Because the car itself is so light and they're so twitchy anyway, they don't seem to be too concerned about the fuel load. It's not like it's a big high-performance Formula car. It's a little car with low power, so the fuel loads don't seem to matter too much over your race pace, maybe about half a second. So Marek could be filling the car right up, pit in, don't change tyres, just top the fuel up enough. He'll only be stationary for about 2 seconds, whereas guys like Benjamin Zirk, he was stationary for 9 seconds. He didn't repair his damage, he just did tyres and fuel. But that's a 7-second gain just from keeping the same set of tyres and just splashing the fuel in to get yourself to the end.
That's a good point, because obviously we see Peter Casada that quite often in the Super Cup as well. He'll run very long and pit, but not change tyres as such. He'll just splash and dash sort of thing, get to the end. There's been a few more pit stops while we've been talking. Adrian McNaughton did just do his pit stop, and he's come out in 7th position, just in front of Hababas, so pretty much where he was before. The only difference being is Maspero is just in the background in 9th position. Obviously we saw some misdemeanors with him, and actually he's dropped back quite a lot, hasn't he, Maspero? He's really dropped back a hell of a lot. He's in 9th position, but Marek Skronowski leads the way. He's coming into the pits this lap by the looks of it, and yes he does, so Marek pits. So will this work out? He's got 19-20 second gap on Manusakis. I don't think he'll jump in, but he could be very close to people like 3rd position Benjamin Zirk and David Gaspers, who he was very close to before this pit stop. And Jim Parisi is right behind David Gaspers. You're watching your screen. They've still been scrapping the last couple of laps as they come out the pits. Skronowski is now stationary in the pit box, and Manusakis is coming around the final few corners to regain the lead. Marek now is away. Is he pretty much? No, he's still stationary. Manusakis will take the lead, but Skronowski's away and going down the pit lane now. So if it's a long pit lane though here, unfortunately for Marek. So Manusakis takes the lead, a comfortable lead. You can see there, 1st position, and on the left hand side you will see Benjamin Zirk actually goes through into 2nd position. That is Marek coming out the pit. So Marek's in 3rd position, but can he hold it? Well, look at him now. He's coming down. He's got the guys on the right hand side are doing a lot more speed than he is. They're on the left hand side now, and unfortunately for Marek, In fact, he has. That's a back marker. Sorry, so Marek does take that third position because behind him is Paresis and Gaspers, who are still battling for that fifth position, and Paresis is actually taking Gaspers. So Gaspers, the dominant race leader early on, along with his teammate, is now fifth, and Marek's up to third after a great strategy there, as you pointed out, James. He did exactly what you said. Short filled, and he's now got 10 laps to go. And can he hold on to this position of a third place? Only a few seconds behind the leaders as such. Manusakis has got a 4-second gap, so Zerk is closing in. He's taken a second out of Manusakis, so Benjamin Zerk could regain some. I don't think I get a word here. He could regain himself. Let's say redeem the Team Logic's EV racing team. He could redeem them from their misdemeanors and take that win. But he's still got some work to do of 4 seconds. Manusakis is no slouch, as we know. Now. This is going to be fun to watch. Jim Paresis in that fourth position has got David Gaspers right on the back of him. But just in front of us, we've got Marek Skrzynowski, who's still getting used to this new fuel load. Marek locks his brake there. This is going to give Jim and David the chance to close up. David Junt still in 6th position, yet to pit. But David Junt, 6th position, still yet to pit. Is he trying a zero stop?
He knows he has nothing to lose. Doesn't have a lot of experience in these cars, so it would make sense to make the most of the opportunities, fill the car up, and just run as long as you possibly can and see where you end up.
Couple more retirements. We've had Jeff Mead and Jason Muscat have both retired. Gap to the lead is now down to 3.7 seconds, so we are going to have a scrap for the lead here for sure. If he keeps this pace up, Benjamin Zerk, he's currently lapping, well, let's say 2 or 3 tenths faster. Yeah, last time around 3 tenths faster than Manusakis. He keeps his pace up, we are going to have a battle, but we've currently got a battle on our hands as Jim Paresis is struggling to defend from Gaspers. Gaspers is alongside him, but the problem, in fact Gaspers is in front, but the problem is Jim's got the inside for the next corner. If he brakes later like he normally does, he will take this position back. Gaspers trying to hang around the outside using the torque of the engine to get on the power wheel, and he does so, and Gaspers takes that position fourth. So Gaspers still got a shot at a podium, because just in front of us that is Marek Skrzynowski, who came out in third position. It was driven really well here actually, but Jim's not giving up. We're now on board with Jim Paresis. You see a lot of understeer through there. It's not dirty air, because these cars don't really produce any aero disadvantage as such. It's just cold front tyres or a weird setup as such. But Jim's really struggling to get the car turned.
Yeah, Jim's running a lot lower downforce than some of the guys here. You see his top end speed. He eats people up at the end of the straight. So I think that's where he's getting his understeer from.
Indeed, David Junt does pit, so he's not on a zero stop, so that will drop him right back down the field now. I have a Bass, Aaron Maspero, and who else? That's Adrian McNaughton as well, having a great scrap for that 7th position. Adrian on the inside there takes it. We just see him flash past. Sorry, I have a Bass takes that 6th position, so he moves up to 6th. Adrian McNaughton 7th. Aaron Maspero is 8th position. I have to get out the throttle there as well, did Aaron Maspero, otherwise he would have gone straight up the back of the Storm Racing driver. We'll quickly look back at this battle for third position, because it is closing up. The gap for the lead is 3.9 seconds, so Zerk didn't take as much time out of him. In fact, it took nothing. He lost time that last lap, 17.8 compared to Manusakis' 18.0. So it seems once the two Logic's EV Racing guys are on their own and they can't slipstream each other, they fall back.
Benjamin Zerk has set the fastest lap of the race so far at 17.1, and that was not long after his tangle with his teammates, so I imagine a bit of red mist came in and he's trying to put the laps down, get the hammer down and get the lap times out. Obviously they've got the potential to go really quick, and in fact I think 17.1's quicker than his qualifying time, isn't it? Benjamin Zerk only did a 17.2 or 17.3 in qualifying.
Yeah, he did 17.3, that's very correct. So he must have had slipstream, he would have thought, on that lap, as Gaspers now sets the fastest lap, so there's nothing wrong with his car, but he did have a big toe across the line, as we just see. He's in the slipstream of Marek Skrzynowski in front, so Gaspers still has got that race pace, but only with the slipstream there he set a 17.0, which is, and he goes very wide in turn 1 again. He's had to get off the throttle there. You see him run very wide. That's cost him on the next straight. That's exactly what he did before, but last time he spun, and that's what cost Zerk and himself them positions. At the moment it's not looking like either of them are going to win this race. Gaspers has got a 12-second gap to the lead. Zerk is only 4 seconds behind, but not really closing in now. Manusakis, who's just going for the back markers. Jim Paresis is still hanging on in the background, but not compared to Gaspers and Skrzynowski. Skrzynowski trying his best to defend this position. This will be a podium position, but Gaspers is getting the traction off the corners. He's got the mid-corner speed, he's got the straight line speed, so I don't quite see how Marek's going to be able to defend this one, but he's doing his best at the moment. This is the closest battle in the top 10 at the moment. I'm sure Gaspers will set it up for the exit like he did last time. He goes in pretty deep to this final corner. If you watch on board Marek now, looking back, Gaspers carries a lot of speed into this corner. He runs it slightly wide, as you see, then he'll cut it back mid-corner now, and he gets a much better run off the exit of the corner. and he's well in the slipstream now of Marek, who Marek tries to move about slightly and get the defensive line, but is it going to be enough? Gaspers is closing up now as they come down into turn 1. Marek's gone to the middle of the track to show that it's a signal that he's going to defend on the inside, and he does go to the inside, but Gaspers has got the straight line speed and he's taken that position. Now can he outbrake him into turn 1? No, he can't. Marek comes back to the inside and regains that position. So Marek at the moment is placing his car in all the right positions, but Gaspers once again has got the run. We'll go on board with Marek looking back. He will need to defend again coming down into the turn 4 section. He'll need to defend now because Gaspers has got the run. Or is he deciding that it's not worth battling for because he's left Gaspers a lot of room there and said, look, you have this position. Oh, Gaspers gets sideways on entry. That was very close. In fact, I'm not sure if there was collision there or not, but that was very close to a touch. And it unsettled Gaspers' car, so Skronowski keeps that position. Don't think that was Marek's fault because he left him enough room. It just looked like David had got him too hot.
Yeah, just trying to correct his car on the entry to make sure they both get through. David might find it quite difficult. Like we've seen all race, Marek has been super brave on the brakes. He gets on at the very last minute. He overtook Jim Paresis around the outside into turn 1, so there's not going to be too many people scaring him down into turn 1. David could have his hands full trying to get past Marek here.
Yeah, that's a very good point, obviously, and Zerk, he's closing up on the leader. He's 3.6, 3.7 behind now, so Benjamin Zerk has closed up slightly on the leader, but it's not enough. He's only got 4 laps to do this in now, as once again they're very close. We'll go on board with Marek looking back. He's gone to the inside much earlier this time, recognises that David Gaspers got a superb run off the final corner, and Gaspers once again will go into that position before we get to turn 1, but can he hold it? Marek's got the inside. No, Gaspers has to give way again, and Marek now just needs to get a good run off his corner because this is where he was losing out before, and he's got a better run this time. He's got a much better run this time, but Gaspers is even better. I mean, there was nothing wrong with Marek's line there. Marek once again, but this time he does go defensive. Marek this time does go defensive, perhaps recognising it's pretty dangerous to let Gaspers try and go through, and he can hold off this position. Gaspers trying to go on the outside, that's not going to work. Now Marek needs to block pass him almost and cut him off on the exit, and that's exactly what he does. Cuts him off on the exit, and now Marek has got the inside line for the next corner, even though Gaspers is on the outside. The inside line for the next corner, but Gaspers switches back and tries to take that position. That's going to be very close. That was good driving there from Gaspers because I thought he was going to go straight up the back of him there, but he got out of that one early enough. So very respectful driving there from Gaspers, providing us some great racing. Gap for the lead down to 3.3. Zerk's pushing really hard at the moment. He's using all the track available to him. Could still do this. You can see Manusakis now in front of him. We'll stick with this battle because this is raging as Gaspers trying to set him up for the final corner. That's not going to work. Gaspers goes in deep once again, you see, and he'll switch back on the exit and get the better run off the corner. Marek got a good run himself though, but Gaspers is well in the slipstream once again. Marek will have to go to the inside once again. He's going to have to defend every single lap at this rate if he wants to keep this podium position. Jim Paresis has fallen off this battle by about 2 seconds now in the background, as you see. But this time Gaspers has got the inside. Marek doesn't defend the position. But Marek brakes very late, as you say, James. Late on the brakes, takes the position, keeps the curb, and he takes that position. Very squeezing, though. He does squeeze and they do make contact. This gives Gaspers the line. So he did squeeze him a lot there, did Marek, and that's given Gaspers the position back. Not quite sure if that was unfair or not. I think it was just the nature of the circuit as such, but they've got through it unscathed anyway, but that's give Gaspers the position, so perhaps a defensive mistake there from Marek, who for the last 3 laps has gone defensive, this time chooses not to, and it's cost him.
Yeah, Marek had to back off there to try to make the apex of the corner. He was going to cut if he didn't lift off, and Gaspers didn't see him lifting and just gave him a little tap, nothing too dangerous, but it unsettled Marek's car after that tap, so that's what got Gaspers the position.
Adrian McNaughton has moved up to 6th position in all of this. He's pulled away from Ahababas, he was in 7th. Big gap then back to Aaron Masper, who's really had an unimpressive second part of the race as Gaspers gets very loose on the entry to the final corner. This is going to give Skronowski a good run actually, because Skronowski's got brilliant top speed and know what sort of wing level he's running, and you can see he's picking up the toe so quickly as we're on board with him, and he's going to have a chance into turn 1. Now we know how late Marek can brake. Gaspers deciding that he's not going to bother going defensive because Marek's got the position as we come down into turn 1. Marek's got the high ground into turn 1, so maybe not a defensive mistake last time round. He does block him into turn 1, takes the position, doesn't cut, and that's a clean move from Marek into 3rd position. So Gaspers not having it all his own way, but Gaspers has got the exit. He's already passed us. We tried to go on board there with Marek, but Gaspers has already taken that 3rd position back. He's got the inside for the next line. We're on board with Marek, the side by side. That's Gaspers on our right now. Gaspers will brake later, and then Marek will get the exit as we see there. That's exactly what Marek does. He gets the better exit off the corner. Has he got anywhere to go? Yes, he launches up the inside, but this gives Gaspers the inside for the next line. But as Marek got the momentum to carry it through, Marek will have to brake very late to make this manoeuvre happen, but he decides to brake early and try and get the switch back. And he does it again. He's got a great switch back here. He'll have the inside for the next fast left and right hander. But will Gaspers hang on the outside? We've seen 2 cars trying to go side by side. You're on board with Marek. Gaspers on the outside. Gaspers cedes position slightly. will look back and, oh, that's so close. Look how close they were to touching there. That was very good driving from both of them to avoid collision. But Marek, very brave, takes that third position back. We've only got 2 laps to go now. Gap is 3.1 seconds for the leader, so it looks like Manusakis has got this in the bag. And that's a back marker getting very wide in the front of them there. That's a back marker. I think that's Wesley Morris actually going off there. Once again showing his acrobatics during the race. There's Marek defending down to turn 1. That's Gaspers on the outside. Can't do anything with it, but Gaspers are going to get the better run off the corner. And once again he does so. He's already taken that position. Gaspers gets a great run off that turn 1. Marek going defensive, compromising himself on the exit. Every lap, and this happens. Now Marek, can he retaliate once again? Because we thought Gaspers had the move done last time, but Marek had the superior straight line speed. Pavel Lotnoski's in 9th position, Yanni Varlin in 10th. Nick Phillips just outside the top 10, 11th. Keith Story in 12th, having a strong finish to this race actually. He's lapping pretty quickly. In fact, he's lapping just nearly as fast as the leaders actually. So Keith having a good race back down there in 12th. It's a shame about the start line incident he had. So we're on board with Marek still, sitting in the slipstream waiting to pounce. Gap for the leaders not come down at all, so Zerk can't do enough unfortunately to catch the leaders, but we're all focused on this battle for the final podium position. Gaspers holds it at the moment. Marek carries a bit too much speed into the final corner. That's going to compromise his exit slightly. As you see, Gaspers pulls away a bit, but you see how fast Marek was in a straight line the previous time round, and he's got the slipstream again, but he's not going to be able to close up fast enough, no way. So as Gaspers made the move, as we go into the final lap of the race, Manusakis will have to guide across the line shortly. He's driven really well in this race actually, and he deserves this win fully. And the 2 Logic CV guys have made the mistakes, and Manusakis has made no mistakes. It looks like this battle for third position is over because Marek can't quite close that gap anymore. Someone else off in the background there. That's a few cars off in the background. That was a back marker again. So we'll switch to Manusakis, who's coming round. Sorry, go on, James.
That was Timu Toika doing a bit of a spin on the straight.
Fortunately for Timu. Manusakis, who's dominated this second half of the race really, since the 2 Logic CV guys took themselves out. Manusakis, sorry, done it again, comes around the final corner, and he's going to take a surprise victory to him. We expected a 3rd position for him, but didn't expect to win, and he wins the 2012 Formula Challenge Brazilian Grand Prix quite comfortably actually, by 3.1 seconds from Benjamin Zirkle. Will be slightly disappointed to finish 2nd, I guess. David Gaspers will be even more disappointed because he's going to finish 3rd after a great scrap with Marek, who takes a superb 4th position. Jim Parisi solidifies his position in the championship standings to take 5th. Adrian McNaughton, a very good drive by him actually. We haven't seen much of him through this race. He's had some good scraps. And the man behind him there, I have a Bass, very impressive once again. He's really making a name for himself lately. He takes 7th position. Aaron Maspero 8th. Pavel Lotnoski is going to take 9th position. And Yanni Van's going to round out the top 10 as they're just finishing across the line now. You see in the background. Nick Phillips comes across the line in 11th position. Keith Story takes 12th. But Lee Massey was just rounding the final corner. Miles Dixon involved with a scrap with David Junt actually as they come around the final corner there. We're on board with Miles Dixon looking back. This is going to be side by side across the line. Junt. It's just going to be a photo finish this. We can't quite see where Junt is at the moment, but Junt takes it on the line. So Junt takes that 14th position by 10 thousandths of a second there from Miles Dixon. I'm sure he'll be disappointed to lose out on that. Dale Stones will finish 16th and has finished 16th.
I think that was a glitch. It's showing Miles Dixon 14th over Junt by 1/100th of a second.
It is indeed. It flashed up a second ago. He was in front though before the line, so I'm not quite sure what happened there.
Maybe David Junt changed gear. He got himself a bit of a lag down changing gear into 6th to try to... He's topping out in 5th possibly.
The race result is in anyway, as you see. Manusakis takes the win after the Logix EV Racing team decided to pick each other out, unfortunately. They had it in the bag, them two, and I'm sure they'll be very disappointed with that. Once again, some issues stopping them from getting a 1-2. 2nd and 3rd, still a strong result, but could have been much better. We might get an interview with him again like we did last week in the after the sprint race as such. Now we have a little break before the next race. But we had some great scraps in that race, James. It was really hard to keep up with all the action going on. We expected to have nothing to talk about, but 30 laps just passed so fast. I mean, what was your highlight of the race?
Oh, Marek going around the outside of Jim into turn 1. That was absolutely superb. Nobody saw that coming. And even possibly Marek again in the final stages of the race there. The last place I'd want to be is on the left-hand side coming into that long left and right into the back straight. And he held that, and that was the bravest move I've ever seen, because we saw so many guys holding that outside line and just not being able to get the car turned in, and they end up in the wall. So he did really well. Marek drove superbly for me tonight.
Yeah, and we've got another chance to impress us in race 2 as well, obviously, with only 15 laps, but Marek, yeah, very brave racing there from Marek in that. Really impressive, as you say. No one expected the moves he was pulling off, and the fast left and right, you have to be very brave in there to pull off that manoeuvre. Just switch into the banner screen as the game restarts. There was a lot of scraps going on throughout the field, actually. A lot we probably didn't catch. We're apologies for some of the drivers we missed out on, but it was very hard. There was always a battle on screen, so it was a very entertaining race to watch. Again, if you'd like to get your comments in and tell us what you thought of that race, please do get in touch. Definitely like to hear from you, because it was very exciting for us to watch up here, so I expect it would have been a very entertaining race to watch. Keith Story saying he was punted into turn 1 on the first of the start, so obviously that's what did his race on in even. Lotnowski seems content at the moment to impress us with some burnouts in the pit lane. Not quite sure what he's trying to achieve by that, but he did it before the first race as well, so we'll obviously run down the grid in a second. There'll be a 5 or 10 minute break, I guess, until the next race. Then the grid will be, the top 15 will be reversed, so the race winner Manu Sarkis will start 15th. It'll be interesting to see what he can do on the rerun of the sprint race. We had some fantastic. I mean, it is a wide circuit, as you mentioned in the practice, I believe, James, about the fact that it's a touring car circuit. It is a wide circuit, which does allow for free 4-wide racing. We have plenty of free wide, and it's actually Jason Muscat who's apologising to Keith's Story for punting him in turn 1. So obviously that'd be something for us to look at after the race, James. But yeah,
sure, we'll have our hands full.
It was pretty clean racing throughout the field, though. We did catch a lot of the action, and there wasn't much to really complain about in that first race as such. There was a few moves where we were a bit unsure of what happened, but we'll review it after the race as such. The driver's heading out on circuit at the moment. Craig Johnson's one of them in 3rd position, well, 3rd in this session as such. He had the DNF in race 1. One of the top guys on. A lot of the field taking the opportunity to take a break in this session. Yanni Varnon's also out on circuit. They look like the only 2 cars, apart from Lotnowski, who's actually doing a lap now instead of burnouts. Nope, he's decided to crash into the pit wall, so a lot of the guys just taking this as an opportunity to have a break. Isn't a bad idea, to be fair. Yeah, some very clean racing as well. We saw very brave manoeuvres, very little contact, and when there was contact, it wasn't nothing significant. It was just wheel banging, let's say, which does happen sometimes. Nothing malicious as such. Obviously, we'll review it after the race, as we usually do. Oh, wait, James has done the last few races, actually, so we've got to thank James Shepherd for his efforts in directing this event. And the penalties that you see have all been imposed by him so far, so if anyone's got any complaints about his penalties, then get them in, because he's on broadcast now, so you can get them into him. And I'm about to receive a text, and I'm not sure if this will be about the broadcast or not. Yeah, it's from Keith Story who's texting. And he basically said he didn't spin, he got punted off. He had a bad start as always, but was doing the same speed as everyone else into turn 1. Muscat has apologised to him about that, as we've seen in the server. So obviously it was Jason Muscat who caused that little incident there, which looked like the only thing that happened in turn 1 pretty much. Apart from that, it was very, very clean racing through turn 1, which is again a surprise because early in the season we saw a lot of contact in turn 1 in this series. Very little action out on the track at the moment. 7 minutes left of this warm-up session. Mead is out on circuit in 22nd position, and he looks like he's just going into the pits actually. So James Ross is also on the circuit in 23rd position. He's got a car in front of him.
So this next race, 15 laps. Let's hope that David Gaspers reassesses his fuel strategy and gives himself a few extra litres, because he did 15 laps in the last race and then ran out of fuel, so hopefully he can make the next one.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously, that was he was lucky to get back to the pits. Actually, he must have been very, very close to running out because it was spluttering in the pit entry, and he just scraped it in. But that really did cost him the win in some respects, because I reckon he would have still won this race, probably quite comfortably. He only finished 12 seconds behind the leader, and he must have lost at least 15 seconds during that. And same with Zerk as well. About the he would have won this race as well. I reckon actually, had he not had to repair the damage in the pit lane.
I'm not sure that he did repair the damage. I was looking at the pit stops, and his pit stop was just as long as Marek, so Marek took on fuel and tyres as well. And I'm guessing that Gaspers would have told Benjamin from the last race. We remember in race 2 at Hidden Valley, David Gaspers had a flip in turn 1 and lost both of his wings. Well, actually lost his front wing, and his rear wing was heavily damaged. And he would be warning his teammate, don't repair damage, because you can still drive these cars. They're pretty robust. They'll go alright, and you'll lose way too much time in the pit stops trying to repair them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Then obviously it was the only pit stop I pretty much watched during that race, and it just seemed to take an age while I was watching it. But maybe that's because I was willing him to get out of the pits and you know, a decent result. I was sorry for Zerk in that race, I must admit, because he didn't do anything wrong really. He ended up being, let's say, he ended up worse off. Then again, he did finish second in front of his teammate Gaspers, but Gaspers' mistake there really cost them both. But I'm sure they'll get over it. They seem pretty good friends. I've seen, you can really see them always practicing together in the server. Well, there's very little to talk about in this warm-up session, so we'll do what we originally planned then in the practice set, in the race, which wasn't going to have much action, but turned out to have a lot of action. Jim Parisis, what do you reckon to his driving so far this season?
Well, he's been consistent. He's been setting the pace. He's been challenged a lot by Gaxella, but I'm starting to wonder if these guys were running at the true pace of these cars. If they were they found that limit, they thought, okay, this is comfortable, we're here. We've seen UKSOM and Logix come in, and they've just set the bar a hell of a lot higher. And in no disrespect to Torrent or Storm, but their performances so far have been quite embarrassing compared to Logix and UKSOM. Well, not so much UKSOM. They've shown them, you know, and done a fairly good job, but Logix have just come in and gone, okay, we're boss. This is the pace you need to set. And Torrent haven't been able to keep up.
Yeah, like you say, it makes you wonder if they were really getting the most out of it early on in the season. Obviously, if Logix had been around, would the championship be different to where it is now? Obviously, Jim looks like he's got this title in the bag. Unless he retired from every single race now, McNaughton won them all. I don't see how anyone's going to catch him as such. But it looks like he's got his title in the bag, and fully deserves it, obviously. We're not trying to take anything away from Jim. He's driven really well this season and raced really hard against Gaxella. But like you say, the new drivers in the league, who we can't really assess too much, but we know they're very, very quick at the moment. They made a mistake last race, which cost them the race win, the two Logix guys. But the actual pace they're setting and the dominance that they're going to be able to do, I mean, if they get it right in this second race, for example, they could quite easily take this one. The first race they would have won by a long way, without the mistakes. But yeah. Gaxella obviously is packed in now, but I guess he'll get the same performance review as Jim Parisis pretty much. Jarl Tian, obviously he's gone to Super League. Any thoughts on Jarl?
Jarl is his driving style is very aggressive. He's not a clean driver. He's very aggressive. He puts his nose into every single gap. He kind of reminds me of Senna in a way of watching his driving style, just not the results. You know, Senna always said, if you don't go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. And Jarl always makes sure he puts his nose into every little gap he can see, even if it doesn't really exist. So it's kind of a bit of a negative on his side, but he's always keen to race. I'm not sure that he's really been able to get the performance out of his new Super League seat that anyone expected. The car's well and truly capable of providing him with strong results, but we didn't see him in Turkey, but in Monaco made a few mistakes and hit the wall a few times. In Canada he also made a few mistakes, and in Korea he destroyed the car completely, so he just needs to sort of calm his driving style down a bit and try to keep his nose clean.
Yeah, I'd pretty much agree with that. I believe one of the hardest things is controlling emotions, and I can definitely vouch for that. And it's very difficult to control emotion as well behind the steering wheel when things go wrong, or even when things go right, actually. And Jarl seems a bit like me in that respect, where he does struggle to control his let's say anger or the red mist. Currently fourth position, or was fourth position in the championship, because I believe he's just lost that now because of Marek's fourth position in the first race. Adrian McNaughton was fourth in the championship before this race, and Adrian McNaughton, I don't think he's had a podium this season. He's not been anywhere near the top steps, let's say, but he proves that consistency can give you results, because he turns up, puts in the laps. You know, he doesn't always set the world alight with his pace, but he's up there in the points in the championship, and he's probably going to finish second in this championship. Actually, it might be Marek who finishes second in this championship. If you take Gaxella and Tien away, it's currently Skrzynkowski and then McNaughton who were second and third in this championship. And both of them really consistent, actually. Skrzynkowski could have had some better results had he not made some mistakes, and possibly the same for McNaughton. But any ideas on them two?
Well, Marek's starting to calm down a bit. We're seeing him put in more solid results tonight, especially. And obviously he's been in the Super Cup for a few races as well. Adrian McNaughton is proving that showing up is getting him results. It's getting him the championship position. You know, his teammate Gaxella might be able to dominate races, but if he doesn't show up, he's not going to win this championship.
Yeah, indeed, Marek's really improving lately. When he first joined this league, he wasn't that high up, and he's lately established himself as a force to be content with a podium. I mean, nearly had one here, racing the likes of David Gaspers, who we're talking about dominating races. Ari Nyman, obviously, he's disappeared off the planet. We haven't seen him for a while now. I'm not sure if he was just a standing driver, actually. Jan Van, again, not always the fastest out there, but usually brings it home in the top 10. Same with John McLean, actually, when he does race. Ihab Abbas, now he's the man I want to talk about. Ihab Abbas, he was a nobody at the beginning of the season, but he's really coming on strong for the middle part of this season. Last race he was 7th, he was always racing in the top 6. The last event he was up in the top 6 and top 8 and so on. So what do you reckon to Ihab? I really think he's coming on strong now. He's starting to mature as a driver.
Yeah, where did he come from? I remember racing against him in Vallelunga when I did a race for the Formula Challenge, and if I recall, I may have lapped him, and I was a few laps down. And that wasn't due to spinning, it was just due to lack of pace. And he was always just way down the field, post 15th position, but now he's really showing a lot of pace, and I think he was even racing with Aaron Maspero in the last race.
He was indeed. Obviously, the next in the championship, we'll just go for the top 10 for now, but this is the 10th position man. Is Roy Scroton. Obviously, hasn't raced in this for quite some time now because he moved up to Super Cup, and we obviously seen how much he's improved as well. He was nobody, and then all of a sudden, he's a guy who's, he led the race in China, and he led a few weeks ago as well. So, Roy Scroton really coming on strong as well. So, that's the top 10 pretty much assessed anyway in the Formula Challenge Championship. We'll go on a few more drivers as we see them through the race. There's a couple of drivers in there who are still racing, but the new guys, Gaspers, Maspero, Van Brenk, they're all very quick and likely to take podiums. But as you can see, we have a reversed grid now, so the top 15 have been completely swapped around, and as you see, it's David Junt who leads them away, who finished 15th in race 1. Miles Dixon's into 2nd position, Lee Massey up to 3rd, Keith Story is 4th, Nick Phillips starts 5th, Janne Vanenen 6th, Pavel Lotnowski 7th, Aaron Maspero 8th, Ihab Abbas, who we were just talking about, in 9th position. A good chance of another good result there. Adrian McNaughton 10th, Jim Parisi 11th, and Marek Skronowski 12th.
David Gasper is our pole sitter from race 1 and starts from 13th. Benjamin Zoki's teammate from 14th. Georgios Manasakis is in 15th. 16th, Dale Stones. 17th, Timu Doika. 18th, Chris Williamson. 19th, Robin Van Brink for UK SOM, so hopefully if he has a clean race with no damage he might be able to come through the field and get himself some points. It's unfortunate for him, he finished 2 laps down last race. Starting behind him on 20th is Wesley Morris, 21st Chris Gray, 22nd Jason Muscat, 23rd Jeff Mead, 24th James Ross, 25th Craig Johnson, 26th Simon Crane. And Bart DeVos is in the room as well, but I'm not sure if he's racing. He would be starting from 28th position on the grid if he does.
Yeah, we're on board with him actually. He's actually doing the warm-up lap, so he looks like he's taking part for the Wicked Fox Racing. Obviously his teammate Jason Muscat did the first race, not with very much success. He had a retirement unfortunately. Probably a disconnection actually. Miles Dixon has spun in the final corner actually. He will regain that second position on the grid though. He's got going under his own accord as they come round to line up now. David Junt takes that pole position. We're currently just looking at some of the guys warming up on the grid.
Bart DeVos looks like he's replacing Nigel McNamara, who was disqualified from the first race for travelling the wrong direction around the circuit.
Yeah, that's very unusual, but that was the disqualification. Last few guys now coming into position, as you can see in the background. The last man to line up is Bart DeVos, as we mentioned. He's now just coming into his final grid slot, and there he is, just lining up now. And he's right at the back, and there's someone in the pit lane there. Who is starting from the pit lane? You just mentioned who that is, but we'll find out in a second, because the feature race was 30 laps, the sprint race is 15 laps, the 4 lights are on, the 4 lights are out. Down the pit lane on the left now, not quite sure who that is, but we'll find out shortly. It's Dale Stones indeed. As the lights go out and the drivers are away, we're trying to work out who's where at the moment. David Junt has got the start in front of Miles Dixon, trying to challenge on the outside, just looking in the background and see who the movers are. Now I expect this to be quite hectic into turn 1. Ignore the camera there for a second, sorry, and there we go. Through turn 1, not too much collision by the looks of it, but there's a few guys off in the background there. In fact, there was a big crash in the background. There's Dale Stones, Chris Gray, Chris Williamson, but no one's retired so far, so there's a big gap in the background, but they've all got through okay. And you can see there's a big kerfuffle of cars there. There's going to be a collision there for sure, and there is some slight wheel banging there. They all seem to get through okay-ish, and that was Nick Phillips, I Abbas, Jim Parisi, all them lot are in there as well. David Junt still leads from Miles Dixon, Lee Massey's third. Have you spotted anything so far, James?
Nothing as much. I've just been going through the field to see any big changes, but it seems to be all fairly clean there. Quite surprising. I was expecting the top 3 guys, no disrespect to Massey, Simon Crane. Is it Simon Crane or is it Miles Dixon? Sorry, Miles Dixon.
Miles Dixon.
Massey, Miles Dixon, and David Junt. No disrespect to those guys, but they have had their noses dirty quite a lot in this series so far and other series, so I was expecting quite a bit of contact in the first corner, but those 3 just seem to follow into one line and set the standard for the rest, and it was everybody else who was getting a bit tangled up.
Well, I Abbas, we're on board with currently in 7th position. No, we're not, sorry, we're on board with Pavel Onosky in 5th position. He's got a train of cars behind you. You can see them all fanning out. They're about 4 wide going on the main straight there. This is going to be a contact for sure. There's got to be some contact here because there's no way they can keep this clean. That's Nick Phillips launching up the inside there. They're all using the anti-cut in the background. And Onosky spins. There was contact. There's a big collision out to turn 2. That's a huge pile up there. That's a mass pile up there to turn 2. But and that's the 2 Logix cars once again involved. The 2 Logix cars, 16th and 17th, both involved in it, and it's still happening off in the background there. This has changed the shape of the top 10 significantly. Once again, looks like Keith Story were involved in an incident there, and Keith Story in the background has no rear wing, so once again he was involved in an incident. That was slightly messy there into turn 2, and that was started by Lotnowski spinning. Not sure if he got tapped from the back though. And there's still some action going on up front as David Junt leads the way from Miles Dixon, Lee Massey third, Yanni Vananen trying to get through into third, but he's down into 4th. Nick Phillips 5th, Jim Parisi 6th, I Abbas 7th, Marek Skronowski up into 8th. Marek Skronowski actually the strongest driver in that top 8 at the moment. He's the most competitive driver in the top 8. He's currently into 7th position, I Abbas is 8th, and Marek's just gone around the outside in the fast left-right at the end of the lap. Wesley Morris up into 10th position, he's had a good start as well.
And Keith Story just got eaten off the line. He started 4th, remember? And he just fell back into the clutches of the guys who finished in the top 5 in the last race. And he spun it in that big collision, so that's where he lost his rear wing. He spun it around and collected the rear of the car into the barrier, and now he's struggling to get back to the pit lane.
Yeah, and the two Logic's EV racing guys are down in 14th and 20th. Benjamin Zirk has actually pitted, so Benjamin Zirk, or was that a drive-through penalty actually? But it looked like a drive-through penalty because it looks like he's not pitted. But Benjamin Zirk was in the pit lane there, and that's cost him big style. That really has cost him big style. As Miles Dixon and David Junt racing for the lead, we'll quickly give these two a bit of airtime as they are. Actually, Miles Dixon who set the fastest lap on the last lap round. The race has just been compared to a NASCAR event by my dad. So well, it did look very familiar in turn 2 and turn 3 there to a NASCAR event. As David Junt leads the way from Miles Dixon, Lee Massey in 3rd, Jenny Van in 4th, Nick Phillips in 5th position, Jim Priest 6th, Marek Skanowski 7th. Now Marek in 7th, I'm going to put a bet on him. I reckon he's going to win this race. What about you, James?
Hard to say. Just fan through and see who we've got here, because we've got Janne Vannanen sitting in 4th. He's shown a bit of pace sometimes in the races. Jim Paresis maybe. Did he finish ahead of Marek in the last race?
No, he was behind.
Oh,
Jim Priest does set the fastest lap of the race though, sorry.
Okay, right,
Jim,
yeah, he did.
Indeed, Jim Priest does set the fastest lap of the race, but it's still quite close at front. David Junt, Miles Dixon and Lee Massey and Janne Vannanen all together now. You can see in the background actually Lee Massey coming under a little bit of pressure there from that's Janne Vannanen, and Nick Phillips just off in the background here. He's got Jim Priest and Marek Skanowski just on the back of them, so it's pretty close up front at the moment. We were just looking back from David Junt there, who's had the dream start to this race. The two Tiger Express Motorsports cars, 1st and 4th at the moment. We often see this in race 2. For some reason, the guys who were quick in race 1 don't always, as Nick Phillips has spun unfortunately, or no he hasn't, sorry, it's just dropping down the order, ignore that, that's just a timing system glitch. So Nick Phillips is still in 5th position. Marek looking very racy in 6th position, sorry. He's right on the back of Jim Priest. He's closed up a lot on this lap, so I'd expect to see Marek Skanowski set the fastest lap on this lap, or at least be faster than the leaders. The gap was 4 seconds actually to the leaders. It's now less than, it's 4 seconds exactly to Marek. It was 4.5 at the last lap, so they are closing in on the leaders. David Junt still leads this race from Miles Dixon, and Janne Vannanen has got through. He's got through into 3rd position from Lee Massey. Nick Phillips running very wide off the final corner. Who will set the fastest lap this time? I'd expect it to be Marek as he comes across the line. He's got a great slipstream, and Marek does indeed. 17.6 as he goes across the line. Marek sets the fastest lap of the race. Janne Vannanen, you can see down the outside as Lee Massey retaliates and retakes that 3rd position. They're side by side through turn 1. We're watching, there's contact there. Is that Lee Massey, or is that just lag? Or was that just lag? Because Lee Massey got very sideways there through turn 1, and Janne Vannanen does take that 3rd position. But you can see that's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, all in the same frame there. And there's a big gap to the background then to Robin van Brink.
Robin van Brink's been the big mover in this race so far. We're only 4 laps in, and he started 22nd or 23rd, and he's already up to 10th place. So perhaps he got a bit of a lucky break with all that collisions going on at the back of the turn 2, but he's moved up a good 12-13 positions so far.
Keith Story has just come out the pit lane after a rear wing structure support repair, and he's 26 and 2 laps down, so it goes from bad to worse. So Keith, obviously you saw the accident between them. You're looking at the battle, and you can see just in front there's quite a few battles going on. David Junt's pulled away actually. He's now 1.5 seconds in front of Miles Dixon, who's holding off Janne Vannanen for that second position. But Janne Vannenen's also in turn holding off Lee Massey for 4th, for 3rd even, who's in 4th, Lee Massey. Jim Priest is 5th. He's got Marek Skanowski right in the back of him. We're looking at Marek, we're looking frontward view. And Jim Priest is going to be under pressure soon. We're coming across the line, no fastest laps this time, but they did close down again once again on the leaders. Marek and Jim took a couple of tenths, and David Gaspers, who's currently way down in 13th position, 10 seconds off the lead, just behind Wesley Morris in that 10th position there. He's just, sorry, in that 11th position. You can see he's just gone through in the background there on Wesley Morris, so David Gaspers moves up to 12th position. And there's a big scrap going on for the 2nd position now, as Miles Dixon seems to be forming some sort of queue, because he's lost 1.8 seconds now. You can see in the background there's a slight contact there. Is that Lee Massey who's lagging? I think it's Lee Massey who's lagging slightly because his car keeps floating out for some reason. And in the background, is that Jim Paresis under pressure? It is. Marek Skanowski's got down the inside. You just see we're on board there, and it is Lee Massey who's lagging. So Lee Massey needs to be very careful here, because he's going to end up lagging and taking someone out at this rate, because that car looks very hazardous to race. And Miles Dixon defending heavily. The gap to the lead is now 1.8 seconds. It's going to go up this split for sure. It's going to be around 2 or 3 seconds as Lee Massey goes to the inside. I believe he's just trying to get out of the way there because he's lagging heavily. Marek goes through. Marek trying to go around the outside, and he does so. So that car is lagging badly of Lee Massey there. He needs to be very careful here because that's not race worthy in my eyes. 2.5 seconds the gap David Junt leads by, and they've got a terrific scrap for second position. We're looking back from Miles Dixon, who's got Jan Ivan on the outside and Marek Skanowski on the inside. Marek's usually the last of the late breakers, and he takes 2 cars in one manoeuvre. Can he keep it clean through turn 1? He can. So Marek, another superb manoeuvre as Lee Massey gets very wide for turn 1. There's going to be a collision there for sure. No, he managed to avoid it. But another great move there from Marek, James. Yeah,
and Jim Paresis also benefited from that. He jumped up through past Yanni Vannon as well, so Yanni's lost 2 positions in one corner.
Miles Dixon come back the inside of Marek. That was very late on the brakes there. Slightly rude there from Miles Dixon. He didn't leave Marek much opportunity there, apart from the fact that he's going to go into him. Marek's got the inside line for the next corner. I'm sure will take his position. Jim Priest is trying to follow through on the inside. Miles brakes very late. Don't think that will quite work out, but he does actually. He managed to keep the position. I was surprised at that. We've seen Marek be last of the late breakers, and you saw the orange car in the front there, that Tiger Express Motorsports car, was just pulled away significantly from this battle. There he is. That's David Junt, who's well in front of this battle for second position. Miles Dixon really holding up the queue here of cars. Marek's got a good run off that corner though. Marek will have the inside for the final corner. Miles goes in very deep, and this is going to be trouble for sure. This is going to be trouble. You see there, Miles Dixon, he's lost 2 positions through that corner. Marek gets the position, but can he hold the position? Marek needs to go to the inside and defend his position because he's got Miles swarming over the back of him. He's also got Jim Priestis who's trying to make a move. Jim Priestis goes to the inside as well. Jim Priestis is in Marek's slipstream. Miles Dixon there on the outside. Marek looks like he's got this one covered this time. If he can get off this exit of this next corner fine, he might just be able to get on with this. And this time, yeah, he looks safe. Or safer, but once again Miles gets a better run off the corner. Marek's having to go defensive, so Marek not that quick at the moment off the corner of turn 3, and we saw this in race 1. And just behind Miles there, you see in the background, that's Jim Paris. He's trying to make a move on those. Marek's covered the inside this time, so Miles has not got the opportunity to go on the inside. Instead, this is going to allow Jim Paris to get the run on Miles Dixon. It does indeed. Jim Paris takes the position. Will he be able to hold it off the corner? We're going to look back from Marek, who's safely into second position now. Robin van Brenk up to 9th position, just so he make a move there in the background. And 2nd to 9th is so close, it really is.
Jim did well to make the most of his opportunity then, because him and Miles Dixon have been sparring partners in quite a few races so far this season, and Miles has done a sterling job to defend against Jim, so Jim taking him by surprise when he could, but Jim's lost it.
Jim has lost it indeed. Did he receive a tap there, because that looked very suspicious?
No, he just caught the inside of the track. I was watching him, I thought he maybe even cut a little bit there. He got a few too many wheels on the grass and just lost it.
And this is...
He's gone away.
This is hurting Jim. He's down to 14th position, as you say. We'll have damage on that car, and this is really hurting Jim because he's the championship leader, of course. You see in the background there, David Gasper sets the fastest lap again. He's currently into 10th position, only 6 seconds off the lead. He's took 4 seconds out of the leader in the last 3 laps. Unbelievable. Obviously, we're already halfway through this race, which is crazy. Marek is into 2nd position now, trying to hunt down David Junt for that 1st position. Janne Varnen in the background in 3rd position. We'll quickly look at this battle. This is a huge battle for that 3rd position. And Miles Dixon is 4th position. Nick Phillips there on the 5th position, trying to get the inside there of Miles Dixon on the exit, as Miles runs very wide off the exit, and that lets Nick Phillips through. In the background there's a spinner, that's Ihab Abbas, we were just talking about, and David Gasper's got caught up in that as well, and he's been put right back now to 11th position. That's any chance of him getting the podium gone. So the Logic CV Racing guys are really having a mare in these 1st and 2nd races, but this battle for 3rd still rages on. Marek's safely away now, as you see, and he's really hunting down the leader David Junt, so Marek within 2 or 3 laps will be within range of David Junt. And you can see this battle for 3rd position getting... that's ridiculous. There's 4 or 5 cars there trying to go side by side. And off in the background, that's Robin van Brenk and Nick Phillips. It's Lee Massey, sorry, and Maspero is in the background there. There's so many cars involved in this, it's crazy. Coming off the final corner, Varnen runs very wide. You've got Nick Phillips, Miles Dixon, Robin van Brenk. They're going to be 3 wide as they come across the start and finish line. That is Aaron Maspero. No, it's not. That's Robin van Brenk. The other Uxon racing car tucked up in the slipstream. As they come down to turn 1, how is it going to end this lap? We saw many change of positions last time round. Janne Van holds that 3rd position. Miles Dixon has the bed line through turn 2 though, and will take the inside position. Oh, he gets out of it at the last second though, decides to go for the exit. The Uxon racing cars really involved in this as well. Marek's got the lead down to 2.5 seconds, so a few laps and he will have that 1st position in his grasp. Jim Priest is still down in 14th position, so not looking like having a good result here. This is really going to cost him, but Miles Dixon coming back at Janne Varnen here. We're going to look back from Varnen, and Miles Dixon is on our outside as such, but he's not going to have the apex for the next corner. and locks his inside or locks the rear up as well, and that's pushed him wide. That's contact there, and that lets the Uxon racing car of Robin Van Brenk take the position in the background there. That's Maspero and Massey who've gone toe to toe and decided to dance about on the grass there. Unfortunately, Massey's still in there with that lagging car, taking back his 5th position from Nick Phillips. They run very wide into the first back. That's going to compromise Massey on the exit, which now is Nick Phillips on the exit. No, it doesn't. This is insane racing for this group. This is really what we're after in Formula Challenge, some action-packed racing. As David Junt crosses the line, he's got 4 more laps to survive, and the gap's down to 1.8 seconds. Can he hang on? I can't see it happening myself.
No, not a chance. We were saying that the Tiger Express car of Junt has just pulled away at the start, but to be fair, all of his lap times so far are about 1.5 to 2 seconds slower than what we saw from the leaders in race 1. So, not really on the pace, just making the most of sitting out in front, not having anyone to defend against. And Marek's going to be all over him really soon.
He is indeed. Gap will be coming down again at this sector 1 beam. He's got 4 laps to do it in Marek, so plenty of time, and he's going to be right on the back of him shortly. We'll switch to that battle when it develops, but at the moment you're still watching the battle for 7th position, well 6th position between Maspero and now Lee Massey. No, that's Miles Dixon, sorry, who's dropped right back. Miles Dixon has a problem as Nick Phillips gets scruffy on the exit there. And in front of us there, that's Miles Dixon again regaining his position. So from losing 2 positions, he now regained 2 positions. So these like, who's that on the outside? That's McNaughton getting very wild on the entry there. Sorry, and in the background, David Gaspers has caught this battle once again. So David Gaspers has got a chance of 5th position again now. Janne Vardanen seems to escape this scrap with Robin Van Brenk to 3rd and 4th position. They've pulled away now from this massive scrap, and it's been Miles Dixon really has been causing the train ever since he got into that 2nd position. He just caught a train. You see someone going off in the background there. Actually, I'm not quite sure who that was, but that was. Looking down the field actually to see where the other drivers are. We've got David Junt leading from Marek Skanowski 2nd, who's now 1.3 seconds behind, so 2 more laps I reckon he'll be on the back. Robin Van Brenk's 3rd, Janne Vardanen's 4th, Aaron Maspero 5th. That's going to change any second as we head into turn 1. Miles Dixon 6th, Nick Phillips 7th, Lee Massey 8th, Adrian McNaughton 9th, trying to get in on the action, but he's got David Gaspers down the inside of him into turn 1. David Gaspers thinks better of it though. There's going to be contact there as Massey lags into, so that's what I was thinking, Massey lagged there into Nick Phillips. That was not Phillips' fault in any way. Massey lagged into that. We're going to have to look at that after the race because that lag is costing some of the drivers badly here. Not quite really Massey's fault. I'm not sure if he doesn't know he's lagging, but the race director should make aware that he is causing some problems there. I don't think he lagged in race 1, so there's no excuses for him as such. I have a Bass in 9th position. You can see they're just struggling to defend as we watch. Watching Nick Phillips currently on screen. That's separated that battle slightly up anyway. Miles Dixon's back into 6th position. They're up to 5th. Granowski's going to be receiving the slipstream as the leader any second. Wesley Morris up in 12th position, having a good race, just in front of Bart DeVos, who's 13th, who started at the very back in 28th position, don't forget. A couple of retirements in this race. James Ross, Timo Toika is off. That's Nick Phillips off into the barrier. Nick Phillips, we were watching that live. Nick Phillips straight off into the wall. Like he just got on the wrong line there, unfortunately.
Marek's lost a bit of time in this. He's only doing 18.2s now, so he might not even catch up to Junt. He only took out 0.1 of a second in the last lap, so he needs to really get on it.
Yeah, perhaps some nerves there. Perhaps he realises this could be his first victory as such. He's had, or is it his first? He hasn't had a victory before, has he? He's
not to my knowledge.
No, he hasn't. He finished 2nd, I believe. I think he got a podium for first time, last time out. And he's currently in 2nd position. He's right on the back now. He's closed up a hell of a lot in his first set to run slightly deep into that corner there, but he's now in the slipstream. So I would expect to see, by the end of the next pit straight, Marek at least challenging for this first position. This will be perfect timing because we have 2 laps to go as they come round. This is now the closest battle in the top 10. All the others seem to have split up a little bit now after they've sorted their individual battles out. Got quite scruffy at some points. I'm sure there'll be some complaints there for us to look at after the race. Now coming around the final corner to start the 2 laps to go signal. Marek runs slightly wide on the exit there, but he is going to receive the tow now down the main straight. Now we're on board looking back from David Junt in the Tiger Express Motorsports car. You can see Marek's closing up on us pretty quickly now. He comes across the line. The gap's now 4/10 of a second. It's less than that. It'll be about 2 or 3 tenths by the end of this straight as we break into turn 1. Marek not close enough to make a move this time by though. As in the background, David Gaspers takes Miles Dixon for that 6th position. Miles trying to retaliate into turn 1. Can't do so, and David Gaspers takes that 6th position safely. Looking back though from David Junt still. Marek's got the run again, but won't be able to make a move into this corner, unfortunately. He's not close enough this time by. He's still got a lap and a half to do this though. And he's got a good run off that previous corner there. David Junt goes to the inside of the next corner to defend that position. Looking on the TV view, and I will look back and see how David Junt gets his corner. He takes it slightly too acute, and this gives Marek the run off the corner. Marek now will have the inside. We've seen him make a move into this corner before. We're looking back. He's got the inside line. Will Marek take this position? He's been brave for here before, and he's going to be brave again. But we're still on board with David Junt looking forward, and David Junt even braver this time. He cancels out that move from Marek and says, "No, you're not taking it that easy. I'm just as brave as you are." And basically, Marek had nowhere to go there because David put his car in a very good position. So coming across the line now, this is one lap to go. This is the final lap here at the Brazilian Curitiba GP circuit. Marek's got the run off the final corner. He's got a much better drive off the final corner. They come across the line. One more lap to go. Marek Skanowski's in the position. We're looking on board David Junt, and you'll see on our right hand side any second, there he is. Marek Skanowski does take that lead, and I can't see David Junt retaliating from this unless he can get a good drive off in the next corner. Marek takes it nicely, but this is his weak point on the circuit. Marek doesn't get off this corner very well, and once again he doesn't get off very well either. David Junt gets the run off the final of this third corner, that is. He's in the slipstream. Marek Skanowski goes to the inside to defend. This is for the win, don't forget. The last lap, we've got just over half a lap to go now. David Junt's on the inside line. Can't really do much there though. But he's going to square the corner off though and get a better run once again off the next corner. Marek's a little bit tardy off there, but it's not too bad. He's still got the lead. Doesn't feel the need to go defensive now. David Junt looks down the inside. He's going to launch it down the inside. Marek launches it down the inside. Didn't see that coming. Neither did Marek, and that's cost him really. Marek didn't decide to defend that inside line there. He's going to lose that now. But this has to be a very brave move now. Marek has got the slipstream. It has to be into the final corner. It's going to be a last corner do or die move for Marek to win this race. Marek's got the run now as they come through. The right hander. David Junt's already going into the inside to defend the position, but Marek's got the run. Can he do it? He's going to look down the inside. No, he doesn't. He sits there. He's going to try and get the run off the corner. David Junt has made the move into the left-hander, and it's worked out brilliantly because Marek's not going to be able to do it. But we're coming to the line now. It's going to be very close. They're going to be side by side. Marek can't get the slipstream. David Junt comes across the line and he wins by 0.054 of a second. What a superb finish that was. And David Junt made the move so unexpectedly into that corner, and he took Marek completely by surprise and won the race. What do you reckon to that, James?
To be honest with you, I'm not looking forward to reading David Junt's novel that he's going to put in the forums about how he got to the end of this race. But well done to him. He wasn't on the pace, but he made the right move when he needed to. That throwing it up the inside there, didn't expect to see him do that. Very brave move, and he managed to pull it off.
That is the best finish I've seen in GPVWC. It's the best finish I've seen in a sim race for a long time. That was absolutely superb racing. And I thought once Marek had the move made, he got it. Apologies if the commentary went a bit dodgy in the final few corners, but it was so exciting. We didn't know what to say there. But David Junt, with a superb move, he's just celebrating now as he goes around the track, and why shouldn't he? But we'll just quickly run down the last few orders. Robin van Brenk took a third position actually in the end. He managed to get up to third, just 2 seconds behind these two, so he had a chance of victory as well there. And a great drive from Robin to come through the field, as you say. He started from I think it was 18th position, wasn't it? Jan Ivan in 4th position. David Gaspers took 5th after a solid recovery drive. Aaron Maspero for the other Oxon car takes 6th. Miles Dixon 7th. Lee Massey 8th. I have a Bass 9th. Adrian McNaughton rounds out the top 10. Bart DeVos came from the back to finish 11th. Jim Priest is only 12th. And Manu Sarkis only 13th, so a bad second race there for Torrent.
Yeah, those guys not really making the most of it. I think they were both in that big tangle up at turn 2 that we saw earlier in the race. 14th, we've got Pavel Loknovsky. 15th, Wesley Morris. 16th, Chris Gray. 17th, Benjamin Zirk, so Logic's not really doing too well down there. 18th, Craig Johnson. 19th, Jeff Mead. 20th, Simon Crane. 21st, Nick Phillips. 22nd, Jason Muscat. 23rd, Keith Story. 24th, James Ross. 25th, Timu Doika. 26th, Chris Williamson. And 27th, Dale Stones.
Yeah, the last 4 all retirements as well, so they didn't get very far in this race. Keith Story, we saw, had a rear wing change, so unfortunately for him he couldn't really do much, but still finishes 23rd. But David Junt seems so happy with this win. He's still celebrating out on track. I expect, well, hopefully we can get an interview with him, because he is up in the TeamSpeak channel. Not quite sure if his microphone's working though, so we'll soon find out. But Marek's not happy though with David Junt's overtaking manoeuvre. By the looks of it, he's basically saying that it was the wrong overtake, and it was from a long way back, to be fair to Marek. We thought Marek had the position, but he didn't defend that position. But there was no contact from the look of it. Obviously desperation kicked in at that point, because David decided it was a do or die manoeuvre, and he did it. Marek couldn't retaliate on that one. but I believe that Marek could have defended that line a bit sooner, because he didn't pull across at all. He kept on the outside and left David the opportunity to go down the inside. And you were talking earlier, James, about drivers who go for the gap and comparing them to Ayrton Senna, and David Junt in that respect was Ayrton Senna on that final lap, because he went for that gap, whether it was there or not.
Absolutely, it was a great overtaking move. Not to take anything away from Marek, I still think that his overtake on Jim Paresis in turn 1 was absolutely superb in the first race. But David Junt there showing that any little gap, you got to take it, especially on the last lap.
Well, especially in Formula Challenge as well, obviously the cars don't have as much top speed as the other cars, so you can brake a little bit later, let's say, in these cars, so you've got to be prepared to defend every inch of the circuit. And in my belief, that was clean from David Junt. We saw it on board. We were on board with David Junt looking back, looking forwards, and we saw David Junt make the manoeuvre, and it looked very clean from our perspective. So obviously we didn't see the full thing. We'll look afterwards. Again, any interviews are welcome. Try and get David Junt our race winner in here, because I mean, we were as ecstatic as he is at winning that race. It was really good. It's been compared to a Melandri move, a Marco Melandri move. So, and we do have David Junt in the channel now, actually. So, great to have our race winner, our deserved race winner, we believe. Obviously, some accusations going on that it wasn't a clean manoeuvre, but David, we thought Marek had the position won when he made that manoeuvre on you with 1 lap to go. But you showed that you weren't going to give up, and you launched it down the inside into that left-hander, got it stopped, got on the power nice and early, and you won the race. How do you feel? Because it was extremely exciting to watch.
Yeah, I feel extremely happy, because that was, I think, the first win since the last Masters in December. So I'm really thrilled to have won the race, because I wasn't really counting to gain anything out of it. That's why first race P15. That's something I aimed for, and then it was just at the start, just looking out, having a nice pace. Even though I was nowhere at the pace of the front runs in the first race, where they did 17 lap times, and I did just 18.2. But well, I've just made my nice lap, not nice pace, and tried to get away, which worked thanks to Dixon holding the rest up. And when Marek came, I thought that now I have to watch out for him when he's much faster than me in the first sector, like everyone else. And towards the end, when he overtook me, I thought maybe look for another move, and into that left-hander. I just saw there was room open, and I wasn't that far back to think that was a dive bomb or something, because he let the door rather wide open. Otherwise, he would have covered it and didn't let me through, because it was, for me, it was last position. You can try that. Otherwise, in the last turn, it's just trying to get a slipstream. But I don't think I did a dive bomb, or I heard that weave on straight, but I think I just gradually moved from left to right, and it was just enough. And I'm really happy for Tiger Express Motorsports, because we get some nice points, and just reserve driver here to save the day. Yeah.
Yeah, it was superb. I mean, we really enjoyed that race. I mean, no disrespect to yourself. We thought when Marek got up to the back of you, we really expected. Me and James both said, you know, no chance. We expect with the pace difference, if he was so much quicker at that point. But then you just sort of raised your game in the last 2 laps, and you've come away with the win. Obviously, I don't think anyone expected that. And it's always this second race that throws up an unexpected winner. Obviously, the reversed grid helps. The drivers who wouldn't normally finish up front, they start up front, and it just shows if you set a good pace like you did, David, and get away, you can really win this second race and take advantage of it. So well done again on that win. It was brilliant to watch. Obviously, we'll see what comes after the race as regards to complaints, penalties, and so on. But fingers crossed, you'll keep hold of that win.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I just can hope the same.
Any questions for you, James?
No, I think you guys pretty much covered it. Well done, David.
Thanks.
We've also got Jim Paresis who wants to come up here. I'm just going to quickly send him the details for this this server as such. He wants to have an interview. When he gets in here, we'll drag him in and hear what Jim Paresis has to say. Obviously today, he has pretty much extended his championship lead, despite the fact in race 2 he didn't score any points by the looks of it, or very few, let's say. Yeah, and Ian Story's also got in touch with us, and he's also told us that Lee Massey was causing lots of trouble in race 1 as well, with the lag he's had. So Lee Massey's performance has been affected by lag, unfortunately. Maybe not his fault, but unfortunately it's caused a lot of issues for other drivers. David Junt not being one of them, obviously that superb win he's took tonight. And we do have Jim Paresis and Georgios Manoussakis. So we're going to drag them both down. We've got Jim Paresis who's coming into the booth now, and Georgios Manoussakis, so I believe I'm pronouncing the name correctly now, hopefully, after his assistance during the week. But Jim Paresis we'll get in touch with first. Obviously he's our championship leader, and today effectively extended his championship lead. Jim, how did the races go today?
Yeah, hello. My race was awful, as everybody can see. It was very fun first race, many battles, 3 wide, 2 or 3 times I think, with Masper and where else it was, can't remember the name now. I think it was Marek, if I'm not. Yeah, so it was.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was nice battles there. No practice, of course, for me. I've lost my interest since Gazella is not here. So, Gazella, if you hear me, please come back. Yeah, and the second race was good until I made the mistake in the fast chicane, and I ruined my race on my own. So.
Yeah, okay, we still expect you to win this championship, obviously, like you say, because Gexella is not turning up anymore, and it's a shame because it was a close battle between you two. Obviously, yeah. We didn't expect, when we did mention earlier on in the broadcast about the fact that all of a sudden Jim Paresis isn't winning the races anymore, but you don't really need to put the practice in anymore, do you, to be fair to you? You don't mind finishing 7th or 8th because you're still going to win the championship. So, obviously, if we saw you putting more practice in, now you've got people like the two Logic guys in the German team, obviously up there winning the races or dominating the pace. You've got the motivation to try and beat them, possibly.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I've lost my interest because Gazella is out, but I see the work that the Logic's guy is doing, and yeah, sure, it's a motivation to me, but with no point interest for the startings, it's some kind of difficult to find the good interest that I need.
Well, I'm sure you'll be snapped up soon anyway, Jim, by another team if you wanted it in the Super Cup or the Super League, because obviously you're an outstanding talent. We all know that. I know that. You've been my teammate in the past, and I know how quick you can be, and you've shown that in these races. So I'm sure you'll be in a top team soon, somewhere in Super Cup or Super League if it becomes available. So I'm sure we'll see you wheel to wheel up front again soon. Well done today anyway on the result. Obviously it's a difficult race, but I think you made the most of it.
Thank you, mate.
And now on to a man who I have had to apologise to about 8 times this year already for pronouncing his name wrong. He did give me some assistance this week in pronouncing his name, and it is Georgios Manoussakis, and I really hope that's correct, because if it isn't, he's probably going to give me some earache now on the broadcast. Welcome up into the booth, Georgios Manoussakis. Anyway, hopefully you're available for an interview. How did your races go today?
First of all, yeah, you got the name right this time.
Excellent.
The first race was okay. I didn't have the pace to follow the leaders in the beginning of the race. They were too fast for me. But fortunately, they made a mistake, and I took the lead. And after that, I just keep the distance, the gap in the same place, just closing to the end, nothing else.
Yeah, well done on that.
It was fun. It was nice. It was fun. I hit someone in the first lap. I don't remember what exactly turn is. The left hairpin. I hit him a little bit to the side. I lost the brakes a little bit. I went to the side left to let him pass again after the incident. And after he went off track in the next right corner, I hope he didn't went off by the accident for me.
Yeah, well done on the first race result, obviously taking the win. It was unexpected. We expected the two Logics guys to drive off like they did, but no one saw the collision happening, and obviously they took each other out. They were there to pick up the pieces, as you say. Second race, obviously, I guess you were caught up in some impacts as well. Like you say, it was quite a messy race too. You and Jim had some issues in that race, but today you were faster than Jim, and we haven't seen that so far this season. We've usually seen you just a bit off Jim's pace. Today you were quicker. Obviously, we know Jim didn't practice as much, so that could be accountable in that. But you're making a name for yourself anyway in this league. Obviously, what are your expectations for the rest of the season?
my expectation, just to practice and have good races and enjoy the races, nothing else. Because sometimes you see things happen in front of you or behind you from slower guys or with less experience, left and right when you try to pass, and crashes and stuff like that. I just want to make some races to have fun in those races. I don't care what the position will be. I will just practice and do my best.
Yeah, that's a good attitude to have. Obviously, having fun is the main aim. If you're not having fun, then you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to race well. So, obviously, we've seen you today having some great battles on track. And hopefully, we'll see that throughout the rest of the season. Thank you to David, yourself, and Jim Parisis. Obviously, Manusakis. Sorry, again. See how easy it is. To get that wrong. But all three have been up to the broadcast today for an interview. So, thank you very much for that, and well done on your respective results. And obviously, I don't know if you've got any questions for our three interviewees.
No, again, I think you pretty much covered it all. It's unfortunate to see that Jim's lost his interest in racing, but hopefully these Logics guys will bring it back for him.
Don't worry about that. I think I can help in this thing, because I know Jim many years and he doesn't like when he's behind me.
Okay, hopefully that helps.
No comment from me, no comment.
And you heard it here first, the Torrent Motorsports team falling apart on the broadcast today. You can see them falling out because Manusakis today was faster than Parisis. Parisis didn't like that. So from now on, we expect to see some really hot-headed racing from them too. That's pretty much it here from the FIBA GP circuit at Brazil. And obviously, today we had two new winners actually, but looking at it, we had David Junt who won today and Manusakis in race 1, and it wasn't completely unexpected. We didn't expect them results at all, especially race 1. Race 1 was completely upturned to what we expected. There's some superb racing here today. We've really enjoyed this. This has been by far and away the best race I've ever commentated on, or the best two races I've ever commentated on since I've started doing the commentary for GPVWC. It's been so much fun to watch this race. So much action on circuit, so much overtaking, so much clean racing. Obviously, we'll see after the race what the stewards' views of this is. But got to thank all the drivers who did today, because it was absolutely superb. Saw some great outside manoeuvres as well. Thank you to James Shepherd as well for helping me during the commentary. So thank you, James.
Not a worry. And Adam Rouse, if you're listening, take this as a hint. Masters Series, Cortiba. We want to be here.
Definitely. So Adam Rouse, as you say, if you're listening, take on board, because today was absolutely superb. I mean, racing was just second to none throughout the entire field. We had so many battles, we couldn't keep up with it. We just got so excited up here in the booth. It was brilliant. So definitely want to see more of this, guys. To all the Formula Challenge guys who are listening, definitely want to see more of this today, because it was superb. Obviously, Manusakis, Junt and Parisis in the box as well were involved in battles today. So pat on the back to all you guys for your racing efforts. That leaves us at the end of the broadcast now. Obviously, we'll review the championship positions next time out. Not quite sure what the next race is, but we'll look at that next time out. The next broadcast will be tomorrow night, obviously. It's the World Sports Cars, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, the World Sports Series at Nürburgring. We're at the Nordschleife for the very final round, 5 laps in those little rear-wheel drive Porsches. Should be a lot of fun, but it looks like the Torrent guys have all just walked away with this. The top 4 times in the server are all Torrent drivers, so I think those guys pretty much have it wrapped up.
You can tune in tomorrow night and find out which one of them Torrent Motorsports guys will win that race. Obviously, Nordschleife being a long circuit, as you know, 5 laps is quite a long time around there. It's going to be at least 40-45 minute race, so tune into that one tomorrow night, here live on simrace.tv. So, to wrap it up there, pretty much, that's the end of the broadcast. Nothing else to talk about now, we've discussed everything. Thank you to all our interviewees, thank you to James Shepherd, thank you to everyone who's assisted in this broadcast, as in the spotters for the race. Thank you to Simon Mellerish as well, who stayed up before the race. Everything worked perfectly tonight. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast, and this was a GPVWC production for simrace.tv, and good night.